All right, so what is the next stream about? That's a really good question. So what I do is animation. I've been using Animate, which was formerly called Flash, for years. Obviously, I have Photoshop open right now because I'm sketching out some character designs that I'm going to eventually bring into Animate. But we've basically talked about animation techniques using Animate, and all those kinds of fun things. So what we started doing in this stream, which is every Tuesday night, we started actually developing our own cartoon. Let me start opening that up, some of the files. I plan on continuing to work on that tonight. And thanks for everyone. I know it's late for a lot of people too, so thanks for hanging out. And I'm also here to answer questions about Animate and show you guys things that you're curious about and how it works. So yeah, I kind of keep it loose and colorful, as they say. So we started through this Adobe channel an animation project that we now call Buttonana and Saucy. And I figured, when all else fails, that's sort of my go-to thing to continue working on that. And this is sort of a crowd-sourced think tank of a well of ideas that everyone kind of contributes to. And we're thanks to some of the mods and Elsie Finch and other people that attend the stream, we've been contributing and putting together a story. And let me actually go to our pilot episode. And we have a storyboard here that will open in a second. And I started, last week we got some animation done, which was pretty cool for some of these scenes. And we have some people that, like Achilles Heel, that is contributing backgrounds and stuff like that. Last week we worked on this particular shot where the finger slowly presses that alarm. What else did we work on? Let me go through the actual files. Let's open them up and just take a look. This is the first time I've revisited this project since last week, so I'm kind of looking around here as to what we ended up doing. Am I on the 13 HD? No, what I have in front of me here is a Wacom 22 Cintiq, 22-inch Cintiq. If you were asking me, Monster Maximus, maybe you were asking Paul. But Nana, oh no, that's how you summon Elsie Finch. Exactly, there he is. There he is. Also, someone asked me last week about, how's the music, by the way? Good volume? Let me know. Someone asked me about home movies last week. I think the subject of home movies came up, and someone asked about mentioned it as it being one of their favorite shows, or maybe just having seen it. I don't know if it was their favorite show. Anyway, I had a story about it. I hinted about a story, like a little behind-the-scenes story. Whoa, the Dream Tablet. Yeah, they have even nicer ones now. This is a demo model that's on loan to me, and which is nice. I'll have to return it someday, which could be tomorrow, or I don't know. I actually don't know how long I have with this tablet. God, I'm trying to look for these. Here's a storyboard. I wonder if they're in the storyboard folder now. I'm just looking through folders right now. But I figured, you know what? Before we even get into this, I wanted to show you something. So let me open up QuickTime. And actually, I'm gonna. Well, when I play it, but there's a little bit of a pre-story to this, right? So this is a scene. Actually, it's a scene from an episode of Home Movies. Anyone who's not familiar with Home Movies, it was a show that we developed when I was working for a company called Soup to Nuts, which was formerly, it was sort of an animation division of Tom Snyder Productions, which is an educational software company here in the Boston area. Anyway, we had fallen into the television animation business doing Dr. Katz and a whole bunch of other things. Home Movies was developed by us as well. So we were picked up by UPN United Paramount Network initially for the first 4 episodes. And music is good. Very pleasant voice. I don't get that a lot, but I'll take it. Thank you, Nippy45 or Nipe45, Nippy45. Anyway, so we were producing this show called Home Movies. That at the time we were developing it, it was really, really cool because it was just another pilot, and we had no idea if it was going to get picked up. It got picked up for 4 episodes, as I mentioned, by UPN. And then during, so I had I was the art director / animator for it, and I had a team of about 7 or 8 animators working on it with me. And long story short, UPN asked us for a 5th episode, and we said, sure, we'll have to just adjust the budget and the schedule. And they said, no, we don't have any more money or actual additional scheduling time to give you. Literally, they wanted us to just produce a whole half-hour show out of thin air. And we as a company felt it was really, really necessary because they'd only asked for 4 episodes. We thought, well, if we pull this off, we'll definitely be in their good graces and impress them, and we'll get a full season's order next time. Anyway, so we had a big off-site meeting. We're all trying to figure out how we're going to pull off writing, recording, and animating a full episode with no additional production time. And it was kind of an awkward meeting because no one had any real ideas, because it's impossible. I mean, how can you come up with a solution for that? So I, in a joke more or less to sort of break the ice, it was like a long moment of silence, and I just said, hey, the only way we could do it from an animation perspective is if there's a blackout, like literally a blackout in the episode, so we wouldn't have to animate anything. And there was a little bit of nervous laughter, and I kind of looked around the room, and Lauren Bouchard, who was there, who was the writer and producer, creator of the show, who now does, I think I probably mention him every week, but Lauren Bouchard has gone on to do many, many things, such as Bob's Burgers, is probably his most notable current project. But he looked at me, and I could literally see the light bulb above his head, fully animated and bright, and he was smiling, and I knew we had solved the problem. So he went and wrote an episode that became episode 105. So I put the whole team on the previous episode 104, the whole animation team. I said, you guys all deal with that. I took my computer, which at the time was a little generic Compudyne computer, I think. And we were running Windows 95. I'm going back a ways, right? So, and I connected it. I hooked up my computer directly to the Avid workstation that we were using. And I packed a bag and a toothbrush, and I literally lived there for about 2 weeks at work. And so did Lauren, who wrote the script, recorded, anywhere from 10 seconds to 30 seconds at a time. The recording studio was in the same building. It was, but on a different, on the other side of a wall, right? So there was no doorway to get to it. You had to go outside along the loading dock, and then take a right, and you'd be there. So we were connected. We were all in the same building, but it wasn't that easy to get to. But whatever, it doesn't matter, because what he would do is, on a hard drive, he would take, like I said, a chunk of audio, right, on average 20 or 30 seconds, and he would run it over to me. I would take the file, dump it onto the timeline in the Avid video editing suite, listen to it, and since my computer was directly connected to it, I would just draw whatever the first thing came to mind and animate it, and then bring that into the sequence and just add it. And then by that time, he had come in with another 15 seconds or 20 seconds worth. So we were literally building a full animated episode for the show that was going to be on a major network, as if you were building train tracks, just one in front of the other. No storyboard. I didn't know the full scope of the entire episode story-wise. We just did it, and I was just in the middle of the night, 2-3 o'clock in the morning sometimes. So anyway, that's how we built this, and we got it done. We literally got it done, and I have like a section of it, because a lot of it takes place in the dark. So I was able to then just avoid lip syncing, which was a huge time saver, and all I did was animate eyeballs. And I learned sort of a technique of and you'll see some multiple scenes where eyeballs there'll be multiple characters in a shot, so you'll see multiple eyeballs. And so for you to know who was speaking when, I kind of I treated the eyes blinking and the expressions of the eyes as if they were literally mouths. You'll see it. It'll all sort of kind of make sense when you see it. We used a DOS-based animation program called Animate Pro that was developed by Autodesk, which is, don't look for it. It's long since defunct. It went out the window as did DOS did back then. So it looks very crude. It was done at a pretty low resolution, but that's the way it was. So I'm going to play it for you. Let me shut off the music. This is my big home movie story. Eventually, home movies. I'll continue the story after you watch the scene. It's a few minutes long, but it's kind of worth watching. Hopefully, you'll be able to hear the audio. You should be able to. Let me make this as big as I can. And I'm just going to play it.
Are we having fun or what?
Yeah.
Yeah? Are we having fun? Lana, you having fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, Melissa, fun?
Yeah.
Brendan, Eugene, fun?
Yeah. Duh.
What, Eugene?
Yes.
What did you say? You said da? Right, da is Russian, everybody, for yes.
Da.
Yeah.
Da.
Did Coach McGurk do a good job on the fire or what?
Can we toast marshmallows and make s'mores?
You know what, to be honest with you, I forgot to get marshmallows.
Hot dogs?
I didn't get hot dogs.
Did you get anything for us?
Well, I got sliced turkey, but that would be silly to put that over the fire. Didn't you kids bring anything?
Coach, we're kind of hungry.
Well, I thought I made it clear to everybody that your moms and dads were supposed to pack you food.
You didn't say that.
I didn't?
Well, what was the $20 for?
What do you mean?
The $20 that we had to get from our parents for the trip.
Did everybody's parents give them $20?
Yes.
Yeah.
All
Everybody.
right, we'll
Yeah.
pass over 20 to McGurk here. Everybody give me your money and I'll get the food tomorrow.
I want to go home.
Now, come on now, everybody relax, all
I'm
right?
scared.
Look, you knew when you got into this, you might be a little scared. Camping is scary.
No.
There's nothing wrong with it, though. You got to get through it. That's why camping's great, because it's so bad, but you get through it. And then you remember that forever. It's called a learning experience.
Right.
Can I have some of that turkey?
Yeah. All right, everybody had to take a slice of turkey.
One slice?
One slice each. We got to save that for breakfast tomorrow.
Brendan.
Yeah.
Brendan.
What?
I have canteen.
Right.
Coach canteen.
Right.
I
Cool.
pee. I pee in Coach McGurk's canteen.
What?
I pee in Coach McGurk's canteen.
You, what the hell are you doing? Why are you
It is
peeing?
practically joke.
Oh my God! Why did you?
Joke.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
I will tell Lonnie.
Lonnie? What are you talking about?
I will tell her about the pee.
Lonnie's gonna be impressed by that?
Yeah.
Oh man, you are a freak.
I will go back and put next to Coach.
Eugene,
Hey. I hear whispering. Everybody to bed, all right?
we're just going to bed.
Close your eyes, go to sleep.
Yeah, I know.
He's talking it out.
Hey, I said no more whispering, all right? Come on. Hey,
What?
wake up.
Morning already?
No, it's not morning.
What?
Who touched my canteen? Everybody out of your tents.
What's going on?
What do you mean, what's going on?
I mean, why'd you tell us to get out of our
Who
tent?
went wee-wee in my canteen?
What?
What is canteen?
No, this is canteen, Eugene.
What are
I
you
want to know
talking
right
about?
now. This sounds like something you'd do, Brendan. You step forward.
I didn't do anything.
You know what that tastes like? That's disgusting.
How do you know what it tastes like?
I just tasted it.
How
How
do you
did
know
you
what
identify
it
it
was?
so quickly?
Because I drank it before. But that's... All right.
Maybe someone did it by accident.
Shut up, Melissa. Everybody line up right now. Whoever did this, step forward right now. Or else everybody gets in trouble. All right? And that means everybody gets punished.
What's the punishment? Do we have to go home?
I don't know what the punishment is.
Make us go home.
No. You know what the punishment is? You'll never go home. All right? Who stepped forward? I can't see. Did anybody step forward?
Nobody stepped forward.
You know what? I'm leaving. Coach is leaving. The
What?
coach is packing up his stuff, and I'm leaving you kids here, all right?
Coach!
Coach is taking his pea canteen, and he's going. You have a good time fending for yourselves here in the middle of the woods.
I'm gonna go.
You know what? I want to stop it here for a second. I want to mention something. Let me back it up just a hair. So there was always things that the network would always, not want us to say or do. One of them was right then and there, Coach McGurk said, told the kids he was going to leave them in the woods alone and for good. And the network said, you can't do that. That's not right. People are going to, no, we can't. You have to rewrite that story. We ended up adding a scene on after this. I just thought that whole thing was ridiculous, though. The network had an issue with the coach threatening to leave the kids in the forest alone because I was like, it's a cartoon. They're not real kids. I didn't understand it. But anyway, we had to change it. But one little thing they used to hate was if we ever showed characters in underwear or any kind of like slight nudity. And so this shot here was my little, I don't know. Animators, you hear stories about animators doing little things like this all the time. But just when I pass the flashlight across the actual characters in this one little shot, there's literally a split second where we see Brendan, who's this character all the way over here on the left, in his underwear. I made sure they were like tidy whities. If they had seen that, they would have never allowed it. And I thought there's probably a chance they're going to see it, and they're just going to tell me to remove it, but they never did. So there's literally a second or so where you actually see a character in his underwear. That was just to get back at the network for making us edit something that we had no time to, literally were giving us instructions on how to rewrite parts of a show that they weren't giving us any more money or time to develop and create, which was ridiculous. You guys want to see any more of this? A little bit more? I'm just catching up on the chat here. Hold on. Brilliant work on the eyes. Thank you. So this is me literally figuring out how to animate because I had never taken an animation class before. There's little things. I mean, we were always avoiding walk cycles, right?
Went wee in my canteen.
There's this one little shot where we cut to the canteen when he throws it. That right there. And this is just me sort of saying, all right, I'm going to do actual animation on a show I have no time to do actual animation for. But this is me just learning just how to animate something. It's a very simple animation, but just this sequence alone is something, as a company, we never did stuff like this. We always just took basically static images, made them squiggle, and did looping talk cycles and whatever, and eye movements, but for the most part, we weren't really animating. We were just illustrating stuff, Yeah, so I did. I stuck it to the man with a character wearing tidy whities. That was it. More. All right, you know what? I'll play more. Hold on. I'll play the rest of it. Let me fast forward to where we got here. So he threatens to leave them, okay? And I left it off right here at the owl. Yeah, so here's sort of the cut scene. So let me lower my mic and I'll continue. I'll play the rest of this out. It's a couple more minutes.
I'm gonna go and talk to him.
You gotta catch him before he leaves.
Do you want to come with me?
No.
No.
Oh, gee. Eugene, you did it.
Did you see him do it?
I heard him do it, and he narrated it.
Why didn't you just tell that he did it? He's Russian. He has diplomatic immunity, right? Let's tell him that Eugene did it and he didn't understand because in Russia, people drink pee all the time.
People do not drink pee in Russia. People do not.
Hey.
What, Brendan? Come over here to tell me something?
How are you?
What do you mean, how am I?
How's it going?
Well, I just drank pee. How's it going with you?
Listen, Coach.
What?
Stop packing for a second.
Brendan.
Yes.
Unless you came over to tell me that you did it and you're taking responsibility for your actions.
Yeah?
I got nothing to say to you,
Look,
all right?
Coach, you want to talk about responsibility? You got 4 kids out here that you're responsible for. If you leave us, you are screwed.
Yeah, I'm really mad at you right now, Brendan.
Look, I did not do it, okay?
So who did?
I'm not telling.
You're not going to tell?
What, am I, a rat? Look at me. Coach?
Yeah, what?
Are you looking at me?
No.
Okay.
I'm looking at my canteen.
Yeah, throw it away. It's contaminated.
I just bought that canteen for this trip.
I'll buy you a new one.
I still got the taste in my mouth. For God.
Coach, eat something. Have some turkey.
Where is it?
So,
Ugh, it tastes like pea turkey now. Everything tastes like pea to me.
Look, Coach, you're not leaving, are you?
No, I'm not going to leave. Of course, I can't leave you kids here by yourselves. I mean, it would be ridiculous. I'd get fired.
Yeah.
Then if I get fired, I'll do something stupid and I'll go back to jail.
Exactly, Coach.
Hey, Brendan.
Hey, Melissa?
No, it's me, Lonnie.
Oh,
What are you doing?
I'm cleaning out McGurk's canteen.
Oh, You were really great back there.
Oh.
Like, you could be like a hostage negotiator or something.
Nah, maybe.
And, you know, the way you didn't rat out Eugene was pretty cool.
Well, you know, he's an idiot. Hey, where's Melissa?
I don't know.
She's probably asleep, huh?
Do you like her or something?
I
I mean, do you like her?
do I?
No, I'm not saying that she likes you.
All right. Well,
I know somebody who does.
You know someone who likes me.
Well, I might know someone who maybe might like you.
Hey, who's talking?
No.
Brendan. Who else?
Lonnie.
Well, Lonnie, what are you two doing out here? Go to bed.
Good night.
Good night, Coach.
Listen, before you go to bed,
Yeah?
did anyone bring toothpaste? I forgot mine.
All right, so that was everything. That's, you know, not everything, but the show continues, of course. You know, we did 22 minutes. Not all of it actually was in blackout like that. A lot of it was. Probably, I'd say a good third of the show is in blackout. When I say blackout, not totally blackout. Obviously, you can see their eyes and stuff like that. But we were able to get it done. Like I said, the rest of the animation team worked on the previous episode. So 104 and 105, this episode were just done sort of in parallel, and we finished and delivered it. And then we get canceled. Then UPN cancels the show completely after all that, which actually was, you know, I don't know. It was bittersweet, because what ended up happening about a year later was that the show got picked up by Cartoon Network, which was great. And UPN just died. It actually is no longer. I forget what year. I think UPN as a network lasted 6 years, or maybe I'm wrong about that. I forget, but only a few years, and then there's no such thing as UPN anymore. There's a Wikipedia page about UPN. So anyway, that's so I learned a lot about animation at this one company, doing stuff like that, working on this show. And I have to actually credit. Let me see if I can find a more updated. Here, this is what I should show you guys. Yeah, that was H. John Benjamin as Coach McGurk. Yes, he does Archer, John Benjamin's awesome. He's great. He's in a lot of things. I turn on Cartoon Network, I hear his voice on so many different shows. He played the son of Dr. Katz in the Dr. Katz show. He did a lot of voices for us. He lives in New York, and he was always around doing voices. And then he and I had a mutual love for golf, and so around 3:30, 4 o'clock not every afternoon, but probably whenever he was in town, we would sneak out and go play golf, and which was always fun. So I want to try to find something else, sort of an updated file. So we moved actually from Animator Pro. Eventually, that was when we changed our whole production over to what was Flash at the time, which is now Animate, right? Let me see if I can just find one more updated version. I have it somewhere. I have it here somewhere. All right, here it is. Okay, so this is a scene. Oh, I forget this was after it was on Cartoon Network. Let me shut the music off again. This is a very short scene. It's probably a minute long. All right, let's kill that. I'm going to kill my voice. I'll play it. So actually, let me set this up a little bit for you. This was an episode where Coach McGurk, and you can see already how cleaner it is, how much cleaner. It's got that total Flash vector look to it. The whole squiggle vision look was gone, where we were sort of oscillating the line. So now we're doing a little bit more animation. But this is an episode where Coach McGurk had entered some sort of contest that if he could go X amount of days without sleep, he'd win a VCR. And anyone who doesn't know what a VCR is, just Google it. It's, it's antiquated technology, of course, at this point. I think it was was it a DVD player? No, it was a DVD player. It was something like that. Anyway, I think he mentions it in here. So hold on. I'm going to lower my mic and I'll play this.
Hey. Huh? McGurk, one more session, you can buy a DVD player, all right? You want a DVD, right? Coach? Coach? Stay with me? Stay with me! DVD! DVD! Eye on the prize, baby. I'm so tired. All right. Wake up! I need more coffee. I need the noise. What happened to the noise? Start digging up the street again, for the love of God!
All right, so that was the latest look and feel of the show. So it was a DVD player, right? I have to credit to Kim O'Neill, who was one of the artists. So you can see in this shot, because he has no shirt on here, but a lot of these characters, most if not all the characters, had the sleeves didn't end, right? They were like painted on suits or body suits. And I remember when we were designing the characters for this show, we got to that sort of point where we were filling in the color for their shirts and things, and she wasn't drawing a line, here, and to have the shirt end, right? And so she just, and I'm like, aren't you going to fix that so that the hand is the flesh tone? She's like, no, I'm just going to leave it. And I was like, wait a minute, that's totally not what I would have ever thought of doing. And I just said, let's just go with it. And no one has ever complained or questioned it, or even for the most part mentioned that they even noticed it. And it's just the way the whole show was. It was just a consistent thing throughout. All the characters have that, where it's just they're wearing like onesies, basically. For all intents and purposes, they're wearing onesies. It was just, I have to credit her. And it's funny, working with her, she was great. She was like one of my more favorite people / artists to work with, because she was the most untrained. She had taken, I think, a figure drawing class in high school, and that was it. So she had no preconceived notion of how things should look or work mechanically or anything. And so she always approached everything with a blank slate, a fresh take on almost anything and everything, which was really kind of refreshing. So yeah, so that was that. Be kind, please rewind. So I can tell just the fact that that phrase, that silicone J3 Jesus, I don't know how you pronounce that, but you are of a certain age. I'll just be politically correct. Yeah, much cleaner, absolutely. Yeah, he's Bob and Bob's Burgers, exactly. So anyway, so there you go. All right, so there's a little bit of my history going back a few years for sure. And I think it was 3 seasons that Home Movies ran on Cartoon Network. Let me get some music going. I have a whole new set list tonight that is supposed to be royalty free. Hopefully we'll have no issues with it. I haven't even listened to everything, so I have no idea. I got about like 2 hours worth of music that I'm not even sure what's on it. I just grabbed a whole bunch of royalty free music and dumped it into a playlist, so we'll see. All right. So let's figure out what we're going to do today. So, all right, let me show you one thing. I'm in Animate right now. And so originally we had designed this character Saucy, as you see here. And I kind of like him, but the more I look at him, I feel like I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I was sort of playing around, experimenting. I don't know why this leg flips over like that. I probably was experimenting with something and just goofed up, but doesn't matter. This is just a test model sheet, so to speak, right? Home Movies is one of my favorite animated shows, right behind Wait Till Your Father Gets Home. Nice. Thank you. That's cool. That's cool. Like I said, I was just learning about editing and animation, and I spent 6 years at that company and I learned a ton. I cut my teeth there on a lot of things, including software. So it was a fun time of my life. So then I sketched this, kind of inspired by someone I met recently too. And I thought this might be a cool alternative version of Saucy. This kind of overweight, out of shape dude. Kind of like a metalhead. I might do a smaller nose. I think LC Finch, that's his one and only feedback, was a slightly smaller nose. Right? Isn't that what you said, Elsie? Harambe. Saucy is Harambe. Does this look like someone that already exists? Because I'll have to change it. That's the hardest thing, is coming up with something so original. Let me. I just want to Google that. Make sure I'm not totally ripping something. Oh, so Harambe is a real gorilla. That's right. That is right. Yep. Let me just. Oh, that's right. It's the gorilla that gets shot because of the toddler that fell into his pen in the zoo. Oh, that right. That's all right. That's sad. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Should we go with a redesigned Saucy? I just think this is kind of funnier. I don't know. Like I said, this is open for us all suggestions, and let's see. You like this one, but it misses some monkey look cliches. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I can see that. Maybe we can work on that. So yeah, this one I feel like is almost too gorilla-esque. But maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it, right? Here, you know what we can do? Well, I don't know how to make him more ape-like. Yeah, maybe like a hybrid of the two. All right, so let's try this. Here, let me take a screenshot of the current one. Oops. And just kind of sketch this out, a couple of ideas, right? Did you buy Creative Cloud or did Adobe give it to me? In full disclosure, yes, I have a complimentary copy of Adobe Creative Cloud, but that's because I do a lot of work with Adobe. I also have been on their pre-release team for many, 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 many years. I write articles for Adobe. I'm also actually, first and foremost, I'm a member of their of the Adobe Creative community. I'm an Adobe Creative or community professional. They change the name every so often, so I always get confused. It's basically like an evangelist program, and so as a result of spending time in the forum, helping others, teaching, writing books, doing all these things, articles, you name it, and on the pre-release, in return, I'm lucky enough to use the Creative Suite. So, yeah, that's the answer to that. Ridiculously hairy arms, sure, I like that. So yeah. Will Animate CC export to a sprite sheet? If I want to use it in a game, yes, it absolutely will. And in fact, you can export a sprite sheet from any, let's say, animated symbol, any kind of nested animation. Let me pull up something. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head a great example of that. That's a good question because we've never actually covered that here. Let me pull up. Oh, I know what I'll do. I just want to find something that has a nested animation. So, hang on. Let's do... I just found something else too. I found the original file to that scene I just showed you in Animate. But I want to find... Oh, I know. Where is it? QRS. Starling. Yeah, let's do this. Starling animation. All right, so here we've got this this character. It's actually the Starling logo for the Starling platform, and it's got this animation going on inside it. Pretty simple thing. But if you wanted to use this in a game, you wanted a sprite sheet from it, you can right click over it. Well, all it is a symbol. It's a movie clip symbol. It could be a graphic symbol as well, I think. I think it works with graphic symbols. But I'm here on the main timeline. Here's my symbol that contains the animation. If I right click over it, I can say generate sprite sheet. And then this pops up with tons of different options. Right? You can have different sizes. You can have it auto size. You can specify a width and a height. You can specify an image format. You can specify background color, or in this case, no background color at all, just alpha channel. The algorithm. You can do all this stuff. You can have padding. You can throw a couple of. You can add padding to, let's say like 5 or 2 pixels around. Whoops! What am I doing? Type in the wrong thing. It adds just a little bit of literally padding around each of the. If you were to draw a square marquee over these, which is what it'll do in the game engine, it kind of gives you a little bit of a buffer. So you can specify that. You can preview it in this tab as well. So and then you just click export, and then you have your sprite sheet. It's awesome. It's super fast. I thought part of the subplot was a banana and an ape getting along. That is basically the entire premise of the show, is that these two guys are friends. Oh, I see what you're saying, because he's an ape and it's a banana. Yeah, I guess I don't know if that was the original plan, was because the irony of these two, that would normally an ape would eat the banana, but yeah, I think people were leaning towards having a little bit more ape-like. So yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, this is way easier. Saxecutioner. Yes, this is way easier. It works really great. I work in a game company where we use Unity as a game engine, and so this will work with Unity. Just as any kind of sprite sheet in a PNG format will. But yeah, you can do all your animation work inside of Animate and then export sprite sheets. It's great, super great. It's been a couple of versions now where they've had this feature. All right, so this was that scene.
DVD, right? Coach, stay with me. Stay with me.
And specifically, we were doing pretty limited animation, but I decided to sort of create a challenge for myself to animate this hand. And I just wanted to show you how I did. I know it was frame by frame, which was something I didn't normally do. Like, hands are already hard. I mean, this is granted a very cartoony, bubbly hand, right? Hey, Samantha Hard Art. So what I literally did was I just sat there and sketched out my hand in this position, and then I started slowly closing it. Now, of course, I have 4 fingers in my character, and I have 5, so I was just simplifying in my mind, and I would go and just slowly close my hand and draw it. I did a very sketchy, rough version of it first, and then I kind of went in and tightened it all up. And it's not great, it's not perfect, because here, volume-wise, the hand gets really way too small. Right, but I didn't have a whole day to spend on this thing. I probably spent an hour or something like that. This was a challenge for me, but I like challenges. So, and I actually animated my left hand because I'm righty, and this is his right hand. So what I ended up doing is I had a left hand that was doing this, and then I took that and I flipped it. I just reversed it. But that I nested in a symbol. And I motion tween the symbol, so his hand rises, and as it starts to close, it starts to lower as well out of the scene. So that's how that was done. And I just cut to this. So a lot of our animation was, like I explained earlier, or just actual just still images. But once we started animating it in Flash, which is now called Animate, we started doing a lot more animation, like a lot more in-betweens. Early on, you'd see, you can actually see where he gets cut off here a little bit. That was probably, I don't know if that made it in the final version or not. But we would go from here to there a lot of times without in-betweens. So we started doing a lot more animation towards the end when it was on Cartoon Network. Not that we had to, but why not? So there you go. There's home movies. There's my home movie story. So anyway, all right. So back to Saucy. I wanted to find too the some of the scenes we were doing last week. We did a few scenes. Someone sent me audio of Saucy's voice, which was really good, and I didn't write it down, so I completely spaced who it was that sent it to me. If you're on the chat, stand up, raise your hand, and I apologize for forgetting. I gotta start writing. I gotta start keeping better notes as more and more people contribute to this. I gotta, make sure I'm giving full credit to those that deserve it. Let's see here. Hold on. This was a background test. Remember this? We did this last week, right? When we had Butt Nana walking across this shot just to see how it looks with the character in front of it. So yeah. Thank you, LC. Never Too Late. Name got banned. Good name. Never Too Late. Yeah, so we have, let me see if I can find it. I think I already downloaded it. I know I did. And let me just see where I put the, let's hear his voice. Hold on a second here. Where's Saucy? I'm just going through a Finder window here on my other screen. Just bear with me. I thought I had saved it to the project folder. See, this is the problem with only working on something once a week. I thought I had an audio folder, but I guess I don't. All right, I guess I'll re-download it again using the link that LC just gave me. Just posted in the chat. All right, so let me drag that over. I'm on a completely different computer, so let me do a little Dropboxing here. Yep. All right. Cool, and here it is. And let's go to Butt Nana and Saucy folder. All right, you know what? Let me lower the music. Let's take a listen to this. All right, let's see.
You got any money? Because it's my car. Because this is my car. Don't you think about it. Hey, you got any money on you? Dang it. All right, let's do this then. All right, let me grab this before we go. No, wait. All right, let's go. What are you doing?
So it's pretty good, like sound quality and the actual personality of the voice. So it's pretty neat. Definitely good for some animation tests for sure. To that voice, I liked the human-shaped character a lot more. I don't know if you saw. Yeah, I could see that. And not QB says, I don't know if you saw this, but do you do commissions at Adobe? Well, I guess when you're referring to at Adobe, you're probably talking to me. So what do I do? If you're asking me if I do commissions, I have a full-time job working for a game company, for starters. I've been in the games industry for about 9 years. And before that, I was freelancing for several years. And God, I worked for anybody and everybody. during those 8 years. I learned a ton. That was after I was working on projects like home movies for Soup to Nuts. But those 8 years freelancing, I did a ton of work for mom and pop websites, no name things, and very small clients and then as the years progressed, the proverbial snowball was getting bigger as it was rolling down the hill, and I started doing work for big ad agencies. I did some work for Adobe. I did some work for Microsoft even, which was fun. It was all Flash work, all of it. It was like the greatest thing in the world to choose a program to learn and then realize there was so much demand for it. Just tons of demand. Everybody was using it. Everyone sort of still is, I think, but not like, this was back when, early 2000s when the internet was exploding with animated content. Where's my music? All right, good. Make sure it's not too loud. Cool. Yes, me. Yes, you. As an advertiser and stuff like that. Yep, I've done avatars. I've worked on. I can't even count the number of projects I've worked on. I'm an old man. Best industry I've worked in? Oh yeah, I'd have to say so. I mean, I work in two really fun industries. When I'm not doing this, I'm playing music. I am in a band that plays every weekend, as some of you probably have heard me talk about. And that to me has always been a lifelong love affair, was music. It's just something I've always done. And I get to still do it. So yeah, I mean, get to just everything, every aspect of my life here. I get to do everything I love doing, so I'm lucky to be able to do it. Trying to think why one looks more monkey-ish than the other. Probably this big forehead thing, right? He looks mean. He looks so angry. A lot of times it's either Photoshop or paper that I tend to draw on the most. Never heard this song before. I like it. Does he look too scary? Or is he not scary enough? You seem to have a lot on my plate. Yeah, you have no idea. I have a lot on my plate. Pretty much. Every day is filled with something. What instruments are you playing, and what's my golf handicap? Why, do I have golf clubs in the background somewhere? I play drums. I've been playing drums since I was about 9-10 years old, and I love it. I love it more today than I ever have. I never get tired of it. My golf handicap, I don't know. So what my handicap is and what I actually shoot to is totally two different things. But my handicaps are around a 9 or a 10. But I can go out there and just have, the most horrible rounds like anyone else. So, and I don't play that much. I've played probably 4 rounds all year. It's just no time to do it anymore. I used to play a lot when I was younger. I think the other one looks more like a monkey because you have the mouth designed as a separate shape from the head. I think that's what it is too, Voodoo Bell. Make my brain see it as something protruding from the face, creating the shape of the monkey face in my head. Yep. Where you work now, you said video games, right? I work for a game company called GSN Games, Game Show Network. They have a television network as well. We have a whole television side to the company, which is out, that office is out in San Francisco. I'm in the Boston area. Actually, our office is in downtown Boston, so East Coast USA. And we have offices all over the place too. So we have an office in San Francisco and a few places. Hey, Achilles heel, welcome. How are you? Yeah, the stack of drums behind me. Yep. And yeah, the purple one, the mouth is separated. It's lighter. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. The part of me, that mouth kind of bugs me. I don't know why. There's something about it that it just seems a little too disconnected in a way. Or maybe it's just this hair that's behind it. I don't know. Something design-wise is bugging me. And this could be me overthinking it too. Right? Yeah, well, so here. Let's try this. I kind of want to, you know, wearing a t-shirt. Like some rock band t-shirt or something. I don't know what. Not sure yet. I don't know, something like that. Is that a good sort of cross between the two? Did they make the game show streaming software? I don't know what you're referring to, but we make a lot of mobile apps. GSN Casino is one of them. We're coming out with a new app soon that allows you to play for cash, which is kind of cool. I'm still working on a background art style. I should have the first and second scenes done by next stream. Holy mackerel, Achilles, that's awesome. That's crazy. Looking forward to that. That one was quite cool. I like it. Even though I must say I'm getting more and more attached to the fatty guy. Maybe it's just me. Oh, he's going to be a person. I really like them both. So cool. The second one is freaking great. So, yeah, I wanted to kind of refine Saucy. I feel like, I don't know. I'm not sure. It's just an instinct, I guess. I just wanted to make him, I don't know, something about the initial character that we have, the purple guy. Just for some reason it's just not really working for me. I wanted something a little more on the human side, but definitely still primate-ish, you know. So you guys are liking this one more? He looks like someone I know, and I think that's why I like it. He looks probably like a lot of people that we all know. Or maybe it's all the same person. We all know the same person that looks like this. Alright, good. Alright, I think, yeah, I feel good about this too. I just think it's going to be funnier. I don't know why. And I could be wrong. I'm not always right. Alright, so what I'm going to do is this. Let's shut that off. And this is fine. Let's save him out. And now let's move back to Animate. Let's just create a whole new file. And then let's import that in. Cool. Cool. Oh yeah, and I want to make sure I always like bringing in an existing character just to have as line reference in terms of like line width, line quality, stuff like that. Alright, so let's paste in this guy. So most of these scenes, yeah, I'd say he's going to be about that big. But I guess in comparison, we're talking about something like this, the ratio between characters. Eventually with the show, you'll have all these characters and you'll do some sort of lineup. So you know how tall and how big and how small each character is relative to all the other characters. And relative to each other, I should say. So I'm always sort of thinking along those lines, like this world that we're developing. I mean, obviously, Butt-Nana's not going to be that big. He's not going to be as big as he is, because then that's just freakish. Maybe just to be weird, that's one approach, but it'll kill the whole joke where he goes into the gas station in the storyline that we already have and uses Butt-Nana as if he were a gun to hold up the gas station. So he's going to have to be banana shaped in the real world, and this dude's going to have to be whatever, 6-7 feet tall, relatively human sized, right, proportionally. He doesn't look like Harambe. All right, cool. He has a lot of personality. He's unique. That's good. That's it. So, when we were doing back during the home movies days, and even before that, we were doing a show called Science Court, which was on ABC's one Saturday morning on Saturday mornings, which was really cool. It was on ABC, and because we would work all week on this show. It was an educational show, kind of a comedy / educational show called Science Court, where they taught the laws of science in a courtroom setting. And it was awesome because I would work all week and then wake up, turn on the TV, and we would see the show, one of the shows that we worked on a few weeks prior, which is always kind of a rewarding thing. And it was a very weird thing because I would sit there and watch the show and be like, I have all those files on my hard drive. It doesn't make sense. It's just a weird, kind of surreal realization when you see your work on a television. It's kind of goofy. Thank you, Monster Maximus. Thank you, man. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Awesome. What if Buttnana was a person with a constant... Hey, it could be it. Why not? You see what you want to see, man, right? That's what they say. So why was I talking about Science Court? I don't remember why. So yeah, I know why. So, what we would do whenever we had to design characters, we would it was only like 4 artists, really. We weren't really animators, we were just artists, but we were creating animation somehow. We would take a half a day or a couple hours or something. It would be like 9-10 o'clock in the morning. We'd say, all right, after lunch we'll get together and we'll look at character design. So we would all just sort of go back to our desks and just draw characters inside of Animator Pro. And some of us would do 10, some would do 30. It depends on how loose and sketchy you are and how fast you work. But what we would then do is that afternoon is all gather around each computer one at a time and just go through as a slideshow everybody's characters. And the ones that made us all laugh just upon looking at them is the ones we usually ended up with. We would all narrow it down to everyone's best 3 or 4, and then have another slideshow of all the best ones we like, and then whichever ones made us laugh the most were the ones that we picked, because we figured if we can make ourselves laugh, we're going to make everybody else laugh, right? So that was the criteria. So that's what I kind of wanted to do, and I think that's probably why the original Saucy model wasn't really doing it for me, because there was just some sort of disconnect with it. I don't know if because he was all purple or what, but I just feel like something like this, he kind of reminds me, like I said, he reminds me of somebody I know, which I think that's just enough. And we all know Buttnana's a banana. We all know what bananas are. How else could the bottom be portrayed as a person? I couldn't think of anything else. Achilles' heel has been timed out. That's funny. Alright, so let's just start drawing. I could do a couple of different things. I could go to F7 here, create a blank keyframe, and then turn on onion skinning, although it's red and I don't like that. I remember I changed that last week and I don't want to do that. So past, let's do past being not so red. I don't even, you know what, I'm just going to go with like a light gray. I think that's what I want to do. This is a new feature, by the way, being able to change the onion skinning. Onion skinning color, I should specify. And also, you know what it is too? This is what another issue, and this is just stupid me, is drawing him like straight on like this. I never do that. Now you can see I was designing these guys in sort of 3/4 mode, which is better. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I want to just raise my little Cintiq camera back up a little bit more so you can kind of see it. It's totally washed out though. I gotta work on the settings for this little camera up here, right there. Definitely a way I can work on that to make that not so bright, but I'm not going to fidget with it now. Is the output of Animate CC now HTML5? Yes, and that's not the only thing. So when you go to File New, and it opens up this new document dialog, You have HTML5 Canvas if you want. You have WebGL if you want. You have ActionScript 3, Air for desktop, Air for Android, Air for iOS, GAF Publisher. So there's lots of different outputs. And that's also one of the reasons, it's not avoiding the Swift format. It's just providing way more platforms for you to publish to make this program even more relevant, which is great. And hence also the rebranding of Flash to Animate, changing the name so that it's kind of detaching the authoring tool from the player, the Flash player, the browser plugin. And so it's kind of a good thing. I always even felt that, I actually created a new file and I didn't want to. So anyway, that's the story behind that. And so they're constantly now updating it and giving us new features, which is nice. All right, I think that's a good line width, something like that. So I'm just gonna draw. Not gonna get too bogged down with details, but the first thing I do is get bogged down with details. See that? Yeah. I did. Sometimes there's a lag to it, though, although it doesn't seem so bad tonight. Sometimes it's lagging so far behind it's hard to watch. Achilles is fine. Yes, I do use a lot of keyboard commands. I don't really use so you have these two. I don't know, anybody who's unfamiliar with the pen, there's two. I know it's hard to see. I'm trying to get this. Where is it? There it is. I'm looking at the wrong camera. So you see right there, there's this sort of rocker switch here. It has two buttons on it. And it's basically a right click and an alt click. And I actually had customized it at one time so that one of them was an undo command. So I could literally, instead of hitting Command Z, I could just, with my thumb, do undo. But I don't know. That worked for a while. But then I don't know. I just end up going pretty much with the stock settings. I basically just, connect the Cintiq to the computer. I calibrate it every now and then. But other than that, I just leave it as is. The pressure sensitivity works just fine. It's kind of got a nice little line, which I like, which is good. So then what is the authoring tool now? That is exactly what you're looking at. This is what I'm in, what I'm drawing in. Alright. Buddha, let me know if that answers your question about the authoring tool. And Item Mall 100, hello. Hello right back at you. And Paul Weaver with an Olympic update. Nice. Sorry, I'm an Olympics geek and I was a games maker at London 2012. Awesome. Thanks for the update. That's cool. Okay. I'm not worried about breaking the character down into different pieces. You know what I want to do though? I have this one lock of hair that's sharp, and I want to keep them round. There we go. It's a little better. This is a weird song. I don't know what they're saying. Paul Weaver, hello. How are you, sir? Alright, so now, so the only problem with mouths like this is when they start talking, but because it's sort of an overlapping, you know, kind of thing. It's definitely easier to have a mouth like this that's just floating on the face, but I do like this, and I think I might just have to deal with it. Just create, like this whole jaw, I always think in terms of isolating different parts that'll need to be animated, how they'll actually work independent of other things. You want them to sort of look like a cohesive character, but so anyway, that might require a little bit of thought, but we'll figure it out. And I also think I want to have this line continue like that, so I can have the body just behind it as a separate piece. Just sort of thinking through this. I'm not worried about overlapping yet, overlapping lines. This is a weird song. I know I just said that, but I'm just reiterating. Alright, so let's do, maybe a line right about there. And then more hair here. Maybe a little bit of the suggestion of a chin. Or a lower lip kind of thing, right? Like that. And I want his shirt to kind of, I want you to be able to see a gut. Maybe his belly button, something like that. Right? Just kind of always a slob. What I was saying about the move from Flash to AM, I was thinking that this was like Muse to Dream. It's still essentially the old Flash as we knew it. There was really nothing that changed. I mean, they're still updating it. They're still adding features or improving existing features as well. But essentially, the timeline is the same. The UI is the same. It's really more of a branding change than anything else. You'll be watching the VOD tomorrow. Awesome. Is this going to be on my YouTube keyframer? I should probably, yes, I will do that. I need to get better at taking some of these VODs and putting them on my YouTube channel. I will. Is the chin on a separate layer already? No, I haven't done that. I haven't thought about layers yet. Sometimes I do that. I'll draw every individual piece, but since I'm still kind of like in an early stage of designing this character, I just want to have like a cohesive drawing that I will then sort of break apart. When you say AM, it's really, you mean Animate, right? Everything carries over, correct? Correct. This is essentially Flash. Just the name change was really all that changed. And so they've added things, right? So let's go to Saucy Model. So here, like things like this, right down the left side, you can see here, there's a frame picker now, which is cool. If you ever used Keyframe Caddy from Cloud Kid, it's essentially the same type of window, and what it does is if you select a symbol that has different frames in it, like this head has different frames in it. If I double click the head, we can see what's going on in here. If I double click, or single click the mouth, all of a sudden now we see all the individual frames that are inside this symbol. And from here I can actually, on the layer I can, that the mouth is on, that this symbol's on, I can go and click on a thumbnail and it'll update on the stage. All right, so that in conjunction with adding keyframes allows me to actually place different what, you know, different frames that are viewable, and I can animate. It's the same as clicking on here, opening up the properties panel, and choosing a different frame using this little input field here. The advantage with this new frame picker, which you can grab from here, by the way, you can open it up from here, use frame picker, is that you can see the individual thumbnail. So you don't have to remember what frame number corresponds with what mouth shape and vice versa. It also works with eyes or anything, any kind of nested animation. It's great, really good. So there's lots of little things like that. There's a new brush tool, paintbrush tool that you can have custom brushes with, and you know, there's another update coming with more nice, fun, cool features that we just never had, which is great. Somehow this character reminds me of Baboon from I Am Weasel cartoon. All right, now I must go see that. I must go find. You mean this purple one? You have to find out who that is. I've heard of I Am Weasel. I just need to refresh my memory as to. Let's see what we're looking at. It's so hard to be like totally original. Oh, that's so. Oh, yeah. These are the same guys that made Cow and Chicken, right? Which was one of my favorite shows back in the day. It has to be. It's almost. It's identical. Like that mouth right here. That's like the same mouth that cow. No, that chicken has in Cow and Chicken. Let me find Cow and Chicken. Right? Same look, same feel. Same kind of mouth shape and everything. Which it was one of my favorite shows. It was so crazy. And you had, which was, it was really fun because this character here, the devil here, was often played different characters, and they would dress him up as a woman or something. And in a whole episode, he would play a totally different character. So it's a cartoon character playing a different role than himself, dressed up. It was hilarious. Just that concept was hilarious to me. Yeah, branding, exactly, Buddha. Yes, there is a huge delay between chat and stream. Always is. There's probably a good 15 or 20 seconds sometimes. So yeah, so you just know that. So if you type a question, there's, you know, when I actually see it, and then when I actually turn my head to read the chat, is another delay sometimes. Where do you get Keyframe Caddy from? It's from the Adobe Exchange, I think. It should still be there. Although it was developed by a company called CloudKid, and they are no longer, actually, as of, I don't know, I think this past year they closed their doors. So I have to assume that Keyframe Caddy is still available. Can I do a stream on the frame picker and what all you can do with it? I'd love to. Hey, Iori. Remember my issue with jagged rotation? Yes, on long tweens. Turns out only using 3D rotation fixed this, since its superior has more incremental degree values. That is, I had no idea. I learned something. That is awesome. So Iori last week was trying to just rotate something with a motion tween over a long period of time and sort of slowly, and she was getting not so smooth results. And so now apparently if you're using the 3D rotation, you mean the 3D rotation tool, right? Which is up here. Right, this little tool here, the fourth one from the left. Yeah, Cow and Chicken. Cow and Chicken. All right, so frame picker. Let me find a good file that already exists, so I'm not recreating something from scratch. Yeah, I would say you don't need. Also, by the way, Keyframe Caddy Pro is about $20 or $25, and you could definitely take a look at it if you want, but you don't. The only thing Keyframe Caddy Pro does that so far the frame picker does not yet, it's a feature request of mine, is auto keyframing. And so a few of us on the pre-release team that are animators have requested that at least having the option to turn on auto keyframing would be great. Right now, you have to manually with the frame picker, you need to manually create keyframes, where with Keyframe Caddy Pro you do not. It automatically does it for you. Let me find a cool file that I can show you. Let's see. I don't know if SpongeBob is going to cut it for this. He doesn't really do anything. Oh, this song is... I'm not really liking this song. Hold on, guys. Which one is this? I will have to delete. This one just bugs me. Moving on? Yeah, that's the name of the song. And guess what? We're moving on to. That was just like totally cheesy elevator music. That was like horrible. Sorry. So what is zombie? No, wrestler. Hold on. Bear with me. Alright, Ape Escape. This might have something in it. This might have something in it that's cool. Hold on. So Ape Escape is a web series based on a game, character from a game that I worked on. Let me just find a good file that I can open and show you where using a frame picker would be good. Something where someone talks? Although I don't even know if there's audio in these. No, that's not good. I'm going through the archives. So what's this? No, this isn't a good. This is not a good example. Bear with me. No, you do not need it if you have frame picker. It's one or the other. You don't need it. I would highly recommend just going with the frame picker. Exactly. Samantha Hard Art answered the question exactly. They saw us using Keyframe Caddy Pro so much and they decided to add one themselves. I was not an animator on the SpongeBob show. I was hired when I was freelancing by Nick Jr. to help them with a game. So here, I have it open. So I'll show you some SpongeBob animation. So I was actually animating SpongeBob for a long time. So I'll just play this. So what this was a board game. It wasn't a board game. It was it's a game you downloaded and played on your computer, but you were playing board games and you were playing against different characters. And you played against SpongeBob, Patrick, Mr. Krabs, and also from Very Odd Parents, you were playing against Cosmo and Timmy. And so what I had to do was animate their reactions based on whatever moves you did. So if you took if you were taking a long time, he was getting bored and looking at his watch, or if you did something great that was, about to beat him, he reacted, or so just all reactionary animations. Or if there SpongeBob did something great, so he's celebrating, and then if he won, he jumped up and down for joy. So. All right, so let's dive into this a little bit and show you if there's a way we could use frame picker. So here's the timeline for all this stuff. I can hide that. This is just a little placeholder for the table. I can actually convert that to outline so you can kind of see what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know what these hidden files are. Oh, just different assets. So let me see what we have nested in here, if anything. Hold on. Alright, so here's his eye, right? And inside the eye symbol, blow that up a little bit, we have his blink. And then we have a couple of expressions. Alright, so let me go back out here. So for me, let's say we don't have a frame picker. Let's start there. Let's close it. And I have this guy set up. Let me just insert a bunch of frames here to play around. So here's our eye. Property panel is open. And let's say we want to just make him blink. I would have to go in here, hit F6. Here's the other eye and the layer that they're on, right? Click on here and say play once. And now that eye symbol will play once. And then when it opens up again, if I continue to drag the timeline, it's going to play all of those different expressions. I want to stop it here. So I'm going to hit F6 there and just say, you know what, stay on single frame. And let's do the same here. Let's say play once. And then right there, hit F6, select the symbol, single frame. Boom, he blinks. Now, of course, we have to get rid of the pupils at the right time. But before I get rid of them, I want to make sure I have them when he opens his eyes again. So I'm going to hit F6. When his eyes are starting to open, go backwards. And right here is when I want them to disappear. So I'll hit F7, which deletes it inserts a blank keyframe, and that deletes the contents on the stage. So it kind of does a couple things in one fell swoop. Kills two birds with one stone. So his eyes blink. Now, if we wanted to do that again using the frame picker, let's select the symbol. Frame picker shows up. There it is. We're auto-saving. Great. Thank you, Animate. So now all I have to do is go here, make some keyframes, select the symbol, and you know, in a situation like this, it would be great if, well, anyway, I can say, you know what, frame 1, let's start. Let's actually have him just look like that. I could go and pick and choose different frames, you know, or let's say we want to change his expression. This is probably a better example. Let's go to here. So he looks a little angry. So I can see how angry I want him, right? I can have this one on a previous keyframe, so one is higher than the other. And if anything, if I was doing this, I wonder if I would want to change the order of the layers for something like this. Well, no, I can't because that's baked in. So what I'll do is, I wonder if I have, no, I don't have different eyes. So here's what I would do. I would do something like this, where I would duplicate that pupil. Just duplicated the symbol, and I can go in and edit this. You know, something like that. Whatever. Oh, so now I did it on the wrong keyframe, so let's make sure we do it right. So let's go here. That's where it changes. Now I'm going to go back here, and I want to open up properties, hit swap, and change it back. So anyway, it just gives you a preview of what's inside the symbol, so you don't have to say, all right, what eyeball do I want? Double click it, and then scroll and scrub, and then find, all right, I want that one. What frame is it on? 50 or 16? Go back out, you know, select the symbol, open up properties, type in 16 or 18 or whatever. So it just gives you a preview here on the parent timeline, which is just going to save you time. I think it'll save even more time eventually when they add the auto keyframing feature in as well. So that's what that does. Is going to tell Adobe to include the auto keyframes function. Yes, I will, and I have already, and me along with a couple other people have. So yeah. In fact, there's proof in Animate now that Adobe listens to us all the time. There are certain features that exist in here because I've requested them, or they've been to one of my Adobe Max conference sessions and they've seen me finding workarounds for certain things, and they realize, oh, if we just provided this feature, it would help. So they do that. And also the fact that we have 2 motion tweens is because of us. When I say us, animators. So there was a pre-release for, I think it was CS5, where they announced to us that they overhauled the motion tween. And we always only ever had one style of motion tween. It was just called motion tween. Now we have a couple of different kinds. We have motion tween and we have classic tween. But the motion tween, which interpolates motion over time, they overhauled it. So what it used to be, it was just a very frame-based tween that still allowed us to control nested symbols, like I just did with the eyeball, right? And they overhauled it so it became an object-based tween and allowed us to individually tween different properties like alpha, position, rotation, all that stuff, easing, which was very powerful. It's not what the older tween did. But what it broke was our ability to control within a tween span, the new tween span, nested frames. Okay? So we realize as animators, where we rely, on rigged characters. So let me find one really good, I always pull this up. Here's a good example of how I rig characters for just straight ahead character animation, right? So this character here.
This is such a bad idea.
So I'm on the main timeline. Here's my stage. 1920 by 1080. This is how I always work. And so this character, which is giving me the beach ball at the moment, come on, is all one symbol. Oh, you know why? Because Frame Picker was open and it was trying to render like thousands of frames. So this character here, it's all one symbol. It's a graphic symbol. I can scale it. I can do anything I want with it. I can rotate it. And all those animations inside are going to go along with it. This is how I like to work. I like to set things up this way so that my characters become actors and I can be a director and place them anywhere I want within the scene. If I double click, all of a sudden we start to see all the layers that make her up. Right now there's not that many right here because what we're looking at, if I blow this up a little bit, here's a leg, here's another leg. She just stands there, she doesn't do much. Her body, forearm, hand, upper arm, same for the other side, and then her head. Now her head,
This is such a bad idea.
if I double click the head symbol, it has a lot more layers because there's a lot more going on with the head. So we actually have her head itself, the face I should say, the nose, one curl, two curls, another curl or lock, whatever you want to call them. They're all separated out because of the style of animation, which is kind of like a parallax 2.5D kind of thing that's going on. And then inside of here are her eyes, just blinking. And then I have a mouth here that has a lot of frames in it. Let me see if I can unlock that. So this is probably a better example about using Frame Picker. So if I turn on the Frame Picker, now we can see, I can adjust the size of these thumbnails as well. I can see all of these mouths, right? It's really hard to commit to memory which mouth specifically is on what frame. So if I go along and want to, listen to the audio, let me go back a little bit in time here. I mean, she's already been lip synced, but I'll show you how I did it.
Whatever.
All right, so she's saying whatever.
Whatever.
You guys should be able to hear that. Let me clear all those.
Whatever.
All right, so if I want to animate the mouth, this is where she starts to talk, right? So I'll hit F6, and she's saying whatever. So I want her mouth to, have a little ooh to her. So I go and I look and I see, let's see, what do I have? I got this mouth. I can click on them and see, yep, now maybe I want it to be smaller. No, wrong shape. Yeah, that's what I want right there. Now it starts to open up a little bit. So I hit F6. Maybe I open it up like that. And then now she's saying wah. So maybe kind of like a smile like that with the mouth open. Hold on. Let's lower the music for a second. Let me catch up with chat too, because I have been ignoring you guys. How did I get the expression so true to the original animators? You're probably, Achilles, talking about SpongeBob. I studied SpongeBob. I was actually going out and buying SpongeBob coloring books or whatever. And I set my TiVo, at the time I had a TiVo, to record SpongeBob, and I was watching SpongeBob episodes, and I just kind of, after a while you just sort of get a feel for it. Why 2 frames of each eye type? Frames of each type. Oh, you know what, Irie? I was looking at just an inserted frame too. It doesn't look at just keyframes. It looks at inserted frames. So that's all that was. So F6 set key, F8 delete, F7 is blank keyframe. F8 is not delete. F8 will is convert to a symbol. That's what that is. So F6 and F7. So F5 is just to insert a keyframe. I'm sorry, scratch that. F5. Right. So here's whatever. F8 convert to symbol. F5. Right. I can go down the timeline. Click on the timeline. Hit F5, and that just extends the exposure, or it adds more time to my animation or my timeline. So I actually have, some time. I can actually play this. So right now it's a 62 framed animation of nothing, just this object on the stage. If I want to change something, I click on that frame, hit F6. That creates a new keyframe, and now I can change something, right? So now when the playhead gets to that frame, boom, it jumps over there. I can interpolate that over time using classic tween. And I'll get back to my whole tween story and in my point of my story about Adobe listening to us. If I want to remove the contents of the stage, like I don't want it there anymore, I hit F7. That creates a blank keyframe, which deletes all the contents out of that layer, right, for that frame. So that's what those keyframes do. And by the way, if you're on a Mac and these the F5, F6, or any of the F keys aren't working for you, this is what you have to do, and it's totally worth doing. So open up, go to System Preferences, and then go to Keyboard, right here. And then you want to check this. Use all F1, F2, etc. keys as standard function keys. By default, it's not set, right? So you want that checked. So check it, and then F5 and all those F keys will work inside of Animate. That's key. Definitely is key. Sorry, trying to take notes, but a bit fast. But sorry, I tend to go kind of fast. I don't know why. I don't need to. I'm here for 3 hours. For crying out, I'm here for another hour and 20 minutes. So I'm happy to go over stuff over and over and over again. Hello all is vector line. Hello all is vector line. Yes, this is a vector-based program. Holy Engine. Is that my daughter's actual voice? Yes, it's my daughter's actual voice. So here, let me stop that silly music for a second. And let me raise the volume up a little bit here so you can hear her better. I hope it doesn't blow your ears out. Let me go back to scene 1. Oh, you know what? Frame Picker was open, so it's going to be like trying to render all those little frames. Yeah, let's close this. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. This is just the animation of her. There's other animation that I ended up doing in different files, and I exported it all and brought it into Premiere Pro and pieced them all together with sound. In fact, I should probably just show you that. So hold on. That's probably the best thing to do. If I have the actual, yeah, I do. I have the MP4 file. So here, I'll play this for you as well. So this, let me set, let me make this a little smaller. It's huge. So every year I animate my kids for a holiday card that it started a long time ago, like over 10 years ago. And it just became sort of a tradition. It started kind of by accident too. But let me just play this.
So, maybe you noticed that we didn't send out a holiday card this year. Well, that's because my dad kind of screwed up everything by getting all busy with work and projects and bands and gigs and stuff. Oh, and when we did try to record, there was some sort of technical problem. Whatever. Hey, Bobby, you got anything?
Don't bother me right now. Yo, get out of here. I'm about to go flawless in Trials of Osiris. Leave. Leave.
Billy! Anything?
Yo, go away. I'm on a kill streak.
Happy holidays, even though it's already January. This was such a bad idea. Can I go now?
All right, so there you go. So yeah, so that's my daughter's voice. So it started by accident when she was she was 2 years old, 2 years and 2 months old, and she came home from school, from preschool, and excited because she had learned a song called Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And she came downstairs. I was working from home at the time, probably working on the SpongeBob thing project. And she came up to me and sat down on my lap, and she said, "Daddy, Daddy," she spoke from a very young age with like a lot of diction. She was very precise about speaking. She was always, concerned about saying things correctly and pronounced every syllable and consonant. So she was excited about singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And she jumped up on my lap, and I had a little USB microphone, and something just said press record, because I was all set, ready to record for whatever reason. And I caught I probably got 5-10 minutes of her trying to sing Twinkle Twinkle, and she was screwing up and getting mad at herself and frustrated. And that was that, right? That was back in March. So, flash forward to Christmas time, and we didn't have a family holiday card that every family sends out. And so I used to always sit and draw together, my daughter and I. And I would always ask her, "What do you want me to draw?" And she would always say, "Draw me, Daddy." So I got really good at drawing her. And she had these, at the time, these really, really curly locks. And she always had this one right between her eyes that hung down. So anyway, and I ended up thinking, oh, you know what I'll do? I have that audio from her singing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And so I figured I would, you know what? Let me find it while I'm talking. I would animate it. I would animate her, but I would put a little bit of a spin to it. I kind of added a little concept to it. I figured since she was screwing up a little bit here and there, I figured I would animate her as if she was at an audition on a stage, and with the quintessential beep for every blooper cut type of thing. And so I ended up sending that out to just Christmas time for friends and family and clients, and it kind of became this thing. This is actually kind of a funny story because, let's see, let me find it, and then it goes on. The story gets longer, but let me. All right, so here it is. All right, let me make sure the audio's up, my audio's down. So this is what started it all. Okay. Let me make it bigger. And you'll hear the sound quality is horrible compared to what you just heard, because I had, again, a little USB microphone, and I hadn't really learned audio editing software, so I wasn't really doing a good job cleaning anything up or whatever. Now I have a little preamp. You can't see it over here, but it's just next to me. It's a cool USB 8-channel thing and interface with a tube preamp, and I got nicer mics and whatever, blah 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 blah. So I can get pretty good sounds now. But anyway, let me play this for you. Okay, action.
Twinkle, twinkle.
Okay, action.
Twinkle, twinkle.
Okay, action.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Pop, 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 so high, like a diamond in the sky.
Action. All right, so that was basically it, right? Sent that out to, like I said, friends and clients, and even a year later, I got an email from someone I didn't know from Australia, and all it said was, "Hey, check this out," with a link to it. And I realized then that it was kind of funny because it was kind of like this viral thing. So all right, so then I ended up doing one every year. Okay, I did more and more and more and more and more. And I'm going back 10 something years. We'll be here all night. I'll showing them to you, but I have them up on my YouTube channel. But the cool thing is, so I was speaking at a conference called Flash Forward, right? Thank you, Samantha Hard Art. So yeah, it was really adorable. It was like totally cute. And so I'm speaking around during those years. There was about during that whole decade, I should say, the 2000s and 2000 all the way up to like 2000, and I forget how long the flash forward conference lasted, but it was run and owned by Linda Weinman, who's of lynda.com, Lynda, the training website, right, for all things creative and Adobe products and photography and you name it. But anyway, I used to speak at it every year, and every year it was either mostly in San Francisco every year, or Texas, or somewhere other than Boston. But there was one year it came to Boston. So what I ended up thinking of, and I was, again asked to speak. It was at the Copley Marriott in downtown Boston, and I was speaking in a room that was absolutely enormous, probably the biggest room I've ever spoken in. It held over 500 people, and it was sold out. It was nerve-wracking. And they always want me to get up on stage, and for the first 5-10 minutes, or maybe 2 to 5 minutes, and I have to do like an hour and a half up there, and they want me to just introduce myself, and I kind of hate talking about myself. I don't want to get up there in front of 500 people and be like me, and be some sort of like me monster, right? So I decided to try to take advantage of the fact that people were coming to Boston. I didn't have to fly out anywhere. And a lot of people knew this character because I would always put it out every year. And I knew people were into it because starting in September, October, I was getting emails like, can't wait to see this year's holiday animation with your daughter. So what I decided to do was animate my introduction starring my daughter. So I recorded her talking about her daddy and what her daddy does, and it's all cute and all that. And what I also did was, let me see if I don't know if I have it. Here, I'll play this for you while I'm talking. This isn't the one with audio, but this is the animation I did. And I'll just loop it because that's all it is. It's a short animation. And I'll just, like I said, I'm just looping it. But so she was talking, I animated her talking about her daddy, what he does, it lasted about a minute, and I played that as my opener. And I put in sound effects like a squeaky wheel sound effect and everything like that. It was cute. It was also kind of a challenge because the tricycle was done in a 3D program and brought into, at the time, Flash as an image sequence. And then my next challenge was to animate a 2D character on the tricycle. I just had this vision, and I just wanted to pull it off. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be, but I did it. I was just kind of psyched that I pulled it off, and it's just a fun. I'm into like really short loops that you can just kind of get hypnotized, watching, which is just fun for me to do and challenge myself. I like making problems for myself and overcoming them, like a track runner or going over hurdles, like just dealing with the next hurdle and not worrying about all the hurdles in front of me. And there was lots of hurdles with this thing. So anyway, I play it, right? So let me see. I actually have photos of this because what I ended up doing. Oh, yes, I have them. All right, so let's do this. So here I play this animation, and again, 500 plus people. They were standing in the back along the side wall, the back wall, and the other side wall, right? So there was probably closer to 600 people there. So what I ended up doing was, as a surprise, I had my daughter there on a tricycle. And so after her animated version was done, she came riding down. That's my wife back there with the camera. She came riding down the center aisle. There she is, with the bow in her hair, of course. And this was just a shot of the animation playing on the big screen. I have more photos here somewhere. Yeah, and there she is. The funny thing is, she was 4 years old here, and I couldn't get her off the stage. I literally could not get her off the stage. She just hung out there with me like my lovely assistant. Now that's her giving me a high five. These are a little bit out of order, but that's fine. She came up, rode all the way down. I didn't think she was going to do it, but she was not nervous at all. And so yeah, it gives you an idea. This is like maybe a quarter. This is a small portion of the amount of people that were in this room. It was crazy. there's maybe half the people in this room. And there I am showing some crazy timeline of mine. So yeah, what is this? This is, oh, that's just another flash. That was somewhere in that was a San Francisco one. So anyway, so for me, this was cool because it was literally art imitating life, imitating art. You know, here's my daughter, here's a cartoon version of her, and you know, here she is pretending to be her own cartoon character. So that was kind of cool. This is probably my favorite session out of all of them, just because of that. And so I what I always used to do was have some kind of a raffle, where I'd pass around a hat or something and have everyone in the audience throw in a business card, because I'd raffle off a book. What that also in return got me was like 500 business cards. So as a freelancer, that was awesome. So she became my lovely assistant, literally, where she took the bowl or the hat, I forget what it was, and she went along every aisle the whole hour and a half to collect business cards. And I would look up every now and then, and I'd look for her, and I'd see this little curly topped head just bobbing, down the aisles and stuff like that in between people. So anyway, so yeah, that was a fun day. That was a really fun day. Riff Raff wants her to do a cameo in Buttman and Saucy. That would be really kind of funny. Yep, like Alfred Hitchcock used to do. Yep. How old are my kids? Oh, my kids are older now. I'm old. I actually have a kid that just went to college. He literally starts classes tomorrow. He went to college over the weekend. So that's how old I am. Her name is Andrea, my daughter. My oldest son is in college. I have 3 kids. My daughter is now 13. All right. So she started doing this when she was 2. She's now 13. I don't know what I'm going to do for this year's, because now they're sort of, I used to just turn on the mic and get whatever I could get. It was always something fun. They would always come up with something, just being kids, just being goofy. But yeah, now they're so more self-aware of themselves, and they're always just trying to be kind of cool. And so when you throw a mic on them and hit record, they all just sort of clam up, and it's hard to get anything out of them anymore. Anyway, so yeah, so Andrea's 13, my other son's 15, and my oldest is now, he's in college. Oh, Samantha, glad you are happy you made it today. I am too. So yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. She was. So wait, I was talking about. All right, so the 2 different tweens. I'm all over the map today. All right, so here, for those of you, there's some of you that don't know about this, right? I'm gonna just guess. You might be sort of new to this program, which is great. All right, so you make something a symbol, blah 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 blah. And let's say you want to, I don't know, maybe that's a little bit too big for now. Let's just, let's make it bounce. I'm just making some keyframes. I'm going to drop that down. So here, when I right click, all right, I'm selecting a range of frames here. And in the highlighted area, I'm going to right click. You'll see there's 2 different tweens now. We have this create motion tween and this create classic tween. Anyone new to this program should be like, what? I don't know what to choose and why. You have me to thank if you're confused, because here's what happens, right? So let me just dive down. We go back to this character here, because this was a good. Remember, I was animating, lip syncing her, and I was even creating keyframes within these blue spans, which are motion spans. They're actually classic tweens, right? Remember that. There's a difference between classic tweens and the new motion tweens. I can click here and I can type in a different number. I can use the frame picker, and I can, even mid-tween, I can select different nested frames to be viewable, right, on this timeline, on the child timeline. This is all looking at the child timeline inside of this mouth symbol, right, inside of here. All right, so let's take this mouth. Let's copy it. I'm going to paste it in. Let's make it a lot bigger so we can see what the heck's going on. And let's just say, for example purposes, I right click over it, and now I'm going to say not classic tween. I'm going to say create a motion tween. Now it's an object-based tween as opposed to a frame-based one. There's lots of things I can do, a lot of things I can't do. One important thing I can't do. So now what I can, this will auto keyframe, right? I can position the playhead around and I can auto keyframe. That's unlike the other type of tween. And I can even change this path to something that's curved. I can play around with a lot of things. I can double click that span and I can open up this editor, and all of a sudden it's a little like After Effects, right? You can change different properties and do them separately with the use of curves, and it gets kind of complicated, but you can do that if you want, right? So during the pre-release for CS5, Adobe said, hey, we're giving you guys a whole new different way of tweening, and it's more powerful and it's more flexible and versatile, and you can have individual properties doing different things, and and there's a whole spline path you didn't have before, and it auto keyframes, and it's like, oh my god, great. But as far as character animation goes, so now it became a problem because, again, we double click this symbol, right? Or in this case, we can actually single click. You can see all the frames that are inside it, right? So let's say I want to now lip sync this. I've animated it and I want to now change the mouth. And here's where I want to change it. Let's go here. I can hit F6. I can go here and say, let's change it to this mouth. Okay. Now I want to go to the next frame or any previous frames, and I realize, oh, wait a minute, now it's that mouth throughout this entire tween span for all these keyframes. And I realized very quickly that you can only set a frame per span, not per keyframe, right? So if I change this to a different frame, it's not based on the keyframe in that layer or in that span. It's applying it across the entire span and ignoring keyframes. So all of a sudden, we lost the ability to control nested frames, and there was no way around it. We told Adobe this, and they tried to fix it, but because the nature of this span, this tween span, this motion tween, the nature of it being object-based and not frame-based, it broke basically the one technique that we relied on for character animation. And so they said, all right, well, we don't want to lose our animators, right? Because that's sort of the whole building block of this program. So they literally brought back the old tween and called it Classic Tween. So now you have two tweens, one that's frame-based, which is now called Classic Tween, and then this one, which is Motion Tween. There's a lot of cool things you can do with this new Motion Tween, but as an animator, I end up using Classic Tween 95% of the time. I'm trying to think of a cool way. Let me show you. Let me go back to that starling bird that I had. This will be a good thing to show you. So here's the starling bird. Here's the animation. Okay, let me actually change it temporarily to a graphic symbol so we can see the animation. I'm going to right click over it. In fact, if anything, I'm going to drag it off the stage. I'm going to right click and say create a motion tween. And I'm going to drag it over here. And it automatically creates this animation for me, which is great because that's what a tween does. It creates in-betweens, it interpolates motion over time. And one of the most powerful features of it is if, let's say, let me go back to this one. See how I've created all these keyframes, right? Let's just say the overall timing isn't right. You want it to be a lot slower. I can click and drag this as long as I want. But what happens also is that the keyframes, the spacing, the positioning of the keyframes change, right? It averages them out so that it sort of accordions them, so to speak. So it keeps the integrity of the animation, and but it also, it's just extending out the overall animation. It's not just extending out this last keyframe over time. So in other words, let's go the opposite way. Let's make this really short. And there's these 3 keyframes here, right? That we see once I release, there they are. They're right here. So it literally compresses and decompresses the timeline and the keyframes with it, which you cannot do with the other motion tween model. It's another advantage that the new motion tween has. I mean, you can do it, but it's not automatic. You'd have to go in and manually move keyframes and adjust, right, due to the overall timing. But a cool feature for this is, now that I have this span, I'm going to go create a new layer. Let's just say that's really kind of a not very organic or natural path, or whatever. For whatever reason, I want a totally different path. I'm going to grab the pencil tool. That blue color is fine. And let's just do this. Let's just draw something a little more organic. Okay. I can now grab that. I'm going to cut it, right? Just going to hit Command X. I'm going to select the span. I'm going to paste it in place. And so now that I paste, just by nature of the fact that I pasted it in place, that becomes the path that that object is on. So that's a really cool feature. I didn't have to play around with the path and try to manipulate it and get it right. I just drew it, and then I could paste it in. So there's lots of pluses and minuses to it, right? Oh, anyway, so yeah, I rambled on forever right there. No, so not very many questions. So yeah, so that's it exactly, Buddha. That's explain why to use Motion Tween over Classic. That's one reason. That's a pretty big reason. The other reason is to be able to sort of compress and decompress an existing animation that already has keyframes. That's an easy way to do it. The other thing is, let's say I want to change the alpha of this. I think I'll do this right. I hardly ever use it, so I'm a little green. I changed just the alpha right here. And that alpha property is separate from all the other properties. When I say all the other properties, I mean motion, position, not motion, I'm sorry, position, rotation, scale, things like that. Right, so I can adjust stuff individually. And you can see that. I can add an ease. I can do all these different things. I can extend this out to fit my timeline, and you can play around with curves. So here's my alpha curve. You can go in here and you can play with it, but I'm not sure why I can't right now. Oh, here it is, amount. So I can play with this as a separate property as to when that alpha takes place. You can do the same for scale. You can do lots of things that you can't do with the other classic tween, because the classic tween is frame based. It's tied into those keyframes, where this is tied into the object itself. Right? I don't know if that it is cool. If you're that type of, I don't know, you can use this for like maybe lots of kind of UI based animation or something where it's a little more technical and you have to be more precise and exact or something like that. But I don't use it that often, and when I do, it's pretty selective, just because my needs are different. I like to work with I like controlling nested animations, so that rules this technique out. But if I have like this animation where it's just a loop, right, where I can just forget about it, I don't need to control any of these frames. I just want it to loop forever, or for as long as I have this motion span, then that works for me. Now again, this is really fast, so it's really easy to grab that right leading edge and extend it out so it plays a little bit better. You can also orient to path, I believe, yes, so it feels a little more natural. That's a pretty clumsy looking bird, but you get the idea. But you can also do that with the other tween too. You can orient to path and stuff like that, right? So yeah. Buddha asks, but how do you know before you start? Exactly. I like the mindset of what you're doing. Do you say one over the other from the beginning? Yeah, you know what? That's just trial and error, and that's sometimes we learn the hard way for certain things. Like we learned the hard way very early on to not use movie clip symbols when we were doing animation that was being output to video, such as QuickTime. But that's different now. Now it's totally different. Now you can export out content that. So here's the reason why. So if I have a movie clip, let's copy the bird again. This is a good example. Let's copy him, and let's copy him again. I'm going to just duplicate him. Okay. Now, if I look in properties, he's a graphic symbol. But if I change one to movie clip, okay, and I extend it out the timeline. Oops, I don't want F6. That just created keyframes. I just want to extend out the exposure. You'll see one plays and the other one doesn't. They're the same symbol, but one plays and one doesn't, because one is a graphic symbol and one is not. One's a movie clip symbol. The difference is mainly that movie clips are dynamic and that they're meant to be controlled by ActionScript. And when you have a movie clip, you can give it an instance name, and then you can use ActionScript to target that and tell it what to do, move it around. So games that were created in what was Flash, which is now Animate, for the Flash player inside a browser, we used ActionScript, and we could target different objects and make them do whatever we want through code. And code could be triggered through the playhead. You could have code on the timeline, which was not the best way of doing it, but you also had buttons that you can create in this program. You can still do that, and then attach code that gets triggered through user input, like a button. Lots of different ways. I mean, this was such a blank canvas. Whatever you could imagine, you could pull off. But as a result, movie clips timelines are independent of all other timelines. It's like a totally different timeline in terms of how it acted. So you could tell a movie clip to stop playing through code and start playing through code. Its playhead was totally separate from all the other playheads. The playhead in a graphic symbol, or the timeline in a graphic symbol, is in sync with the parent timeline and all other timelines. So you can have all these birds. I'm just duplicating by holding down the Option key here, and they're all going to be in sync with each other, and none of them will ever fall out of sync with each other, right? But back in the day, with older versions of Flash, when it was developed by Macromedia, we learned the hard way that our symbols that had nested animations were all inside of movie clip symbols, because that was the default. When you converted something to a symbol, it was by default a movie clip symbol, but we were exporting to video. So what happened was, none of the nested animations would export to video. Only the first frame, the visible frame, would export to video. So we had all these just still characters, in these long videos, and no one was moving, that type of thing. And then we learned that we had to convert them all to graphic symbols and extend out, timelines to accommodate their length. And now when you go to File, Export, and you say Export to Video, you can have, here, let's do it. Let's do this. Let's just go to my desktop, and untitled, this 6 is fine. I'm going to convert this to move. I'll do that because that's what I end up doing. When last frame is reached, let's do that. So let's go export. So now what it's doing, you can see it actually said, it was really quick. It said exported a SWF movie. So what it actually does is it exports a SWF, an SWF, which is the Flash player, right? The format the Flash player likes. It basically is playing it in the Flash player kind of behind the scenes in an invisible kind of way, and it's capturing each frame. So it's actually playing dynamic content. Movie clips will play inside the Flash player. It just won't play inside the authoring tool. Unless you double click and go into those nested timelines, and then you'll see the animation play. So now we should see when Adobe Media Encoder opens up, it's gonna, this allows me to, so what it's done is it's actually exported out a QuickTime uncompressed MOV file. Let me go to desktop and show you, where is it? Untitled. Oh, I know I did it to the desktop, but I don't see it. Oh, here it is. Nope, that's not it. Why isn't it there? Maybe I exported it somewhere else. Hold on. I don't know why that's taking a while to load. Not in a creepy way. I love you too, man. Echo Sif, he's done rendering and he's going home later. Thank you for being here. I'm backing up a little bit. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to keep up. Samantha Hard Art. Using the bird as an example, could you make a doodle, a graphic symbol, animate it, use classic tweens, and then go to the main timeline and use a motion tween to make it fly across the screen? Yes, exactly. Yes, you just nest it, another child timeline down. Exactly. That's kind of like the bird, right? The bird was tweened graphic symbols inside a symbol that I then used the motion tween on. Cool. Onika GR, can't pronounce that, but just stumbled onto the stream. This is absolutely amazing to see on here. Thank you very much for this stream. I look forward to seeing more. Awesome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Chance Twitch possibly. Hey guys, how are you? I miss Encore because I used to make a lot of cool DVD menus with it. Yep, and I know. Yep, exactly. Yeah, good old days. All right, so here is. Let's just make it an MP4. All I want to do is show this to show you that as a video now, it's actually playing. I'm going to actually show you the actual file now that that's done. I'm going going to close it out. Oh, where is it? All right, let's go to I thought I saved it to my desktop and I don't see it now inside of Finder, which is great. Oh, I got it. Here it is. I saved it inside a different folder. So here's the uncompressed QuickTime movie, which is 41 megs. It's pretty big for, it's very uncompressed for something that is just 100 or so frames long. But you'll see as an MP4, I can preview it, and that movie clip is playing, which it never used to before. In older versions of the program, this would just be a still, static bird. So now it's not a concern. It's not a major deal breaker anymore. So yeah, so you get the idea. So there's differences between movie clip symbols and graphic symbols. There's differences between new motion tweens and old classic tweens, and it can get a lot more complicated. I stumbled upon this program when it was called Flash 3, and it didn't even have sound in that version. They didn't introduce the ability to import sound until Flash 4, and that's when the internet exploded with Flash content and cartoons and things like that. So, and it was a much simpler program back then. So I was lucky enough to just learn it when it was, half the program it is, or a quarter, or a fraction of the program it is feature-wise, and ramp up with every new version. And so, there you go. Colin Holgate, Chris, can I give my image quality tip? Yes, absolutely. All right, so while I'm waiting for that, let's close a couple of these down, and let's get back to Saucy, unless someone else has another question about anything. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys want. Here's a fun, I'm going to derail myself again, just to show you guys, since I kind of started it. I'm going to do, let's see, a classic tween here, right? Animate this ball. And let's ease that in on the first half, and then ease out the second half. So I've got a bouncing ball. So nesting animations are really, really kind of the big building block of this program. When I say nesting, so here is the main timeline, right? I have one timeline here on the main timeline, but every symbol has its own timeline. You can have multiple timelines. And what I'm going to do is click and select all my animation here, which is just this ball bouncing. Copy frames. I'm going to go into the library. Every document has its own library, which basically just contains all imported assets like audio, bitmaps, whatever. If you import a PSD file, great. An Adobe Illustrator file, awesome. It'll all be stored in here. And libraries are unique to each document. But when you also convert things to symbols, they show up here. Okay. So this is kind of like a cool, management, document management tool, basically, the library. But what I'm also going to do is create a new symbol and call this, bouncing ball. And while I'm at it, the symbol that is just the ball, that just contains the ball art, I'm just going to call ball, just so we can see what's going on. All right, so now we're inside a bouncing ball, and I had copied those frames that was the ball bouncing, and I'm going to paste them. So now what I have is a symbol that contains my animation, okay? Go back out to the main timeline. I'm going to create a new layer, and here's my bouncing ball. And you'll see that as an object, it'll play the same nested animation, right? I can delete that first layer. So here's my ball. There it is. Nothing's changed except for the fact that now it's nested, right? It's inside a different timeline. I can double click it and see it. There it is. And you can see up here at the top, I have this little breadcrumb trail. So I'm inside of the bouncing ball symbol that's a child of the main timeline. I can click here and go back to the main timeline. Now the cool thing is, now that this is, and this is kind of what IRE was asking. I think it was IRE was asking. So I have inside of this a classic tweened symbol, just bouncing up and down. That's all that is. But I can go out here to the main timeline that symbol is residing on. All right, and if I say, all right, I'm going to right click, and now I'm going to say create a motion tween, not a classic tween. You'll see it's not even an option because I'm right clicking over the object. So this new motion tween is object based. And now what I can do with the frame indicator, the red line here on the last frame, I clicked and repositioned that symbol. So now what I have is a ball bouncing across the stage, right? And so that's using both tweens to create this one animation. I can now drag that to make it longer, which will now make the ball bounce several more times across the stage. And all it's doing is moving an animation of a ball bouncing up and down in place across the stage. But it allows you a lot more flexibility in terms of the pacing and timing of it all. You can play around with it. I can extend this out a whole lot more, and it'll bounce way more times across that stage. So that's the power of nested animations, and that's why, my daughter, that animation had lots of different layers of animation going on. I'm not doing anything profound, or complicated. I'm just moving lots of little things using motion tweens in a sort of a way where they're all working together to create this one sort of illusion. But they're all doing basic things. There's nothing really crazy going on. Export to video defaults to a stage medium. Quality of medium. If you include this line in action panel, the quality is a lot better. Stage quality equals high. Yeah, that was an old trick we used to use back in the day when we wanted to force, sometimes we wanted to force a lower quality so that the frame rate would keep up, would be better. So back in the day, we used to have, computers, processors, graphics cards weren't like they are now. It weren't nearly as fast. And if we had, say, a game that was 640 by 480 or even bigger, 1024 by 768 or whatever, we had a lot of animations going on, and it was all being played inside the Flash player. The one drawback was if you had lots of things moving at the same time, or big objects that took up a lot of screen real estate trying to move across the screen, it would cause not lag, but it would skip frames, right? It would get kind of clunky. And the reason for that is because animations, so if I test this, this is an HTML, it was an HTML document. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Hold on. Let's copy frames. I'm going to go to File, New, and say, make an ActionScript 3 document, please. I can get rid of this warning. I'm just going to paste this in and show you what I'm talking about. So now when I test this, it's actually playing it inside the Flash player, right? But if we had, like I said, lots of things moving that were huge, that was, processor intensive, let's say, what would happen is it would get clunky because the Swift player, the Flash player, wasn't fixed framed rendered format, right? It wasn't like video where every frame was rendered and so it would just play at whatever frame rate you exported it at. This was literally rendering on the fly because it was dynamic. It was running ActionScript, and it was literally trying to maintain the frame rate of the document that you set it at, and oftentimes it couldn't maintain that same frame rate. So if you had a lot of things going on, if you went full screen, you would see your animation start to lag and chug and just look horrible. So sometimes we would use, Colin, that exact line of code, not to just force really high quality, like the most anti-aliasing around, but we would literally, we would say maybe set it to medium or low even. And you can actually have that be something set at certain times dynamically. You could have if you knew something was going to get processor intensive animation wise, then you could use that command to force the Swift player to render everything without anti-aliasing. So I can actually go to View and just go to Fast, and you can see the difference, right? All of a sudden it gets really, really kind of clunky and stair-steppy and all that. But if I go to View, Preview mode, and say anti-alias, boom, it gets a lot smoother. So it'll just play everything back a little bit faster. And if you have something really processor intensive, you can literally force everything to outlines and watch it that way. And that just takes up the least amount of processor power. We used to have to do that. I never have to do that anymore. Computers are just so much better right now. They just are. I can go to view. I can go to full. Let's go to full. And that we're not going to really see much more than that. But oh, so what full will do, by the way, this is actually interesting. So here I am on the main timeline, right? If I double click, right, nothing on the stage color-wise changes. Just take note of that. But where are we? We're inside of him. If I want to go inside his head, I can double click his head. But again, visually, it's not, looking at the artwork, it's not apparent to me that we're inside of just the head. If I go back out to view, preview mode, and just say it's just anything other than full, now you'll see that anything on a parent timeline gets washed out as if onion skinning is on. That's just a visual indicator of where you are relative to everything else on the stage. That's all that is. Just so you know, that exists. Exporting to video gives perfect frame rate. Exactly. So you can use best and have uncompressed bitmaps. Yeah, that's right. That's it, exactly it. Unknown error, quitting application for Animate. Is there anything I can do to fix that? If that happens, I mean, ultimately, I suppose you could just uninstall and reinstall. I'm not sure why that would happen. I mean, it is software, and there's no such thing as a bug-free piece of software, so who knows? But yeah, I would either update it, like Colin mentions, or and if that still doesn't work, I would totally delete it, uninstall it, and then just reinstall it. So, yeah. All right, cool. So let me, I don't know, let's get back to, I guess, where are we? Where this guy. We were drawing this dude. And if anything, I've already run out of room. Actually, you know what we're going to do? I'm going to scale him down with everything else. So I'm going to turn on this other feature that I never talk about. It's called edit multiple frames, and that way I can scale everything down, I believe. Let's scale it down about 60%. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then turn on onion skin. I hope I answered questions. Right? You know what? And while let's see, we got a little over half an hour. So, and who is up after me? Usually, it is Creative Grenade is up after me. So stay tuned for that. Design Lab, Creative Grenades Design Lab, which is cool. It's always fun. So yeah, and special thanks to my super awesome mods, Val and LC, right? Is there anyone else I'm missing? I don't know, not sure. CBR Networks in the house. That's a little thick. Let's go down one more brush size. I'm using the bracket keys to change the brush size. That's a relatively new feature. We never had that before, right? To change the brush size like Photoshop, you can use the bracket keys left or right. We always had to do it manually using the menu system. You know, while I'm at it, I will actually create a new layer for the arm, since I know I'm going to have to do that eventually. And I'm not sure about arm placement yet, but I don't know why his arm is curved like that. This looks funny. It's just funny. Another brush feature. I wonder, is it not? Where is it? It used to be there. Zoom. Yeah, zoom size with stage. That never used to be an option. So without it. Right, I would draw at this, let's draw a line like that. And then if I zoomed in, it would be like that. It wouldn't zoom along with the stage. Right? It would always be different. I'm applying the same amount of pressure. So now they gave us that feature, so it's always the same width, no matter what the magnification of the stage is, which is nice. It allows you to be consistent. Never used to be that way, but we asked for it and Adobe listened. You're an eternal lurker these days. Eternal Lurker. That could be a band name. Oh, no regrets, CBR. None, please. Just chill. As Voodoo Val said. Eternal Lurker. I keep a Google Doc of potential band names that just come up in conversation. I've got like 100 right now. All right, let's finish the back here. I don't know how detailed we want to get, but it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of detail. Oh, we haven't had music in a while. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Cool. Oh, another new feature. If you hit the H key, so now you can rotate the canvas. That never existed. So sometimes it's just easier to draw certain lines with the canvas rotated. And then if you want to get it back, you know, in Photoshop you hit the escape key. Up here, I don't know if I can hit the escape. No, it doesn't work with the escape key. Center stage is up here in the timeline, next to the magnification. So it might take you forever to find it, like it did for me. But it's there. Now I just don't know what I want him to have on his shirt. I mean, I don't know. Skull is easy, but I don't know. Give me suggestions and maybe we'll try it.
You can push me and touch me if you really want to. This is Ivy on the mic with the quad in view. You can call me Redwood when this beat rolls through. Cause the roots are so deep they'd swallow you. Plus we always so high we be taller than all of you.
That tooth is in a weird place. Let's do that. You know what? That's what we're going to do. Now, I'm going against what I would normally do, where I'm creating a character that is not symmetrical, which means I have to be constantly aware of that tooth if it's out all the time. If I flip him, right? This is something to consider. I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know. I don't want to get too crazy. Oops.
I was raised in the days of Al Green and Otis, Brown Queens and Oldies, Jazz Swing the Soul Kings. And he just what you call a heater with some cold playing loud in the background, bow for the black crowd. But it ain't about the color, follow that with some Elton John's, Benny in the Jets, that's a fat sound. It's a fact how the past is coming back round. Everybody loves a new nostalgia, so get down.
Yep. We'll be welcoming Creative Grenade, 30 minutes. Yeah, inking and animate, sure. Oh, so yeah, speaking of that, so watch this. This is going to be fun. You might consider this. I don't like that arm, and it's just a weird bending. I'm going to change that. But anyway, I'm going to show you guys this. New feature. This brush right here, right? The paintbrush tool, and I'm going to open up Window, go to Brush Library. Boom. This whole thing. Okay, so I want to change the stroke tool because this will draw strokes. Okay, so now I'm going to go to whatever. I would go to line art, go to basic and flame center. Double click on that, right? When we draw something, now let's make it a little bit thicker. That's what the line will look like. You can adjust that down a little bit. Move this over. And so what this is, and I can double click a few more of these and just draw different ones. Double click that one, draw that one. Let's go the line art uniform. These are actual lines, right? As if I drew them with the pencil tool, which means I can take them and bend them, which is fun, and edit them that way. So that's something to consider, okay? And also, while we're at it, since they are strokes, I shouldn't say lines, they're strokes technically, I can also adjust their scale after the fact. All right, so that's really kind of cool. And if I wanted to go another step further, let me copy this one and paste it in place. I want to see, where is that tool? I haven't used you in a long time. Here you are. It's this tool up here, the width tool. So I can go and click on that stroke anywhere I want, click and drag, and I can change the width at any point. See? That's a relatively new tool. And if I wanted to, I can create a keyframe down that timeline and play around with this. I don't know what I'm doing, just playing around. And then create a shape tween and you can animate it. So again, that's something you couldn't really do with previous versions. Okay. Also, while we're at it, there's a whole vector pack here. So I can draw like this. Oh, why are you not drawing? Oh, it's a little bit processor intensive because it's creating tons and tons of vector points, right? I can go to decorative. They have all these cool little banners. I can double click that and create a banner. I can do, I don't know, whatever. I can create this floral brush. Pop up. Oh no, I have to make sure I double click it, which I don't know if I did. There it is. Text dividers, you got this to play around with as well. So, I mean, this is, again, something that just did not exist. Here's a charcoal pencil. What? Charcoal pencil. All right, so it does get processor intensive. It's something, I don't know why. It's just, other than the fact that the obvious, it's just rendering a ton. There's a way around that as well, with a little bit of a drawback. If I go to Properties panel with this tool selected, I can say Draw as a Fill. And so now it'll draw as a fill. You notice it's a lot snappier and quicker. But it's a fill. It's a shape. It's not a stroke anymore. So I can't edit it like I was just doing. Just keep that in mind. And I don't even know why this is not as processor intensive, because you can see how many points it creates. It actually creates more points. So I'm not sure why it's why it's easier on the processor. I just don't know. But it is. You get the idea. So as far as inking goes, yeah, you can do that. You can even, let me see if I remember how to do this. I was playing around with it not too long ago. I can create my own custom brush. So let's go to line art, basic, and I think actually, you know what? I'm gonna start this using the basic line tool just to show you guys. I think that's what I want. Okay, so now I'm gonna go and say, all right, so here's, let me create some sort of cool little brush like this. And I can select it. Maybe I actually add a little bit of a curve to it. Maybe I don't. I don't know, whatever. Select it. And if I hit this plus right here next to the width drop down, right? I can say whatever, new brush. Actually, let's call it Chris Brush 01. And click OK. And so now I have that. It's been added to my drop down menu. So now I should be able to grab this and be able to draw with it. You can select it from here and I can draw with it. So that's the brush I just created. If we want to get kind of crazy and create something, totally whacked, let's grab, why can't I grab you? Oh, because I drew it as a fill. Hold on. Let's do this. Let's do another one. Oops, line tool. And all right, and that's my brush. I'm going to say plus, add that, whatever, call it what you want. And now I can grab that new paintbrush tool, and I should be able to select it, and then I can draw with it. So I don't know, it's really fun to play around with, so I highly recommend that. Especially if you're gonna look into inking with this tool, right? What kind of Mac do I use? I have a MacBook Pro, and it's kind of old now by computer standards. It's probably 6 years old, and it's a workhorse, man. It's still going strong. I hardly ever have an issue with it. The only issue I have with it is the screen has, you know, the horizontal lines going through it in some areas, and you kind of see it and you kind of don't. But it's fine. I can live with it. It's a first world problem. Otherwise, it handles pretty much everything I throw at it. It's one of the Retina displays. It's like, I think it was like the year after they came out with Retina displays. And it's a 15-inch. So yeah. Can pen pressure be used for width? Oh, yeah. So I'm grabbing the regular brush tool, which is I've been drawing with here. And yes, so I have, all right, so if I go to the sort of sub-tools for the pen, I make sure that use pressure is selected. You can even have tilt turned on. And if I go to a bigger brush and I draw very lightly, I create that very thin line, but as I bear down, it gets thicker. And then you develop a nice little feel for, if you want this look, to, you know, go start light and end light, but push down a little bit midway, right? That time I did not release lightly. That time I did. So yeah, you can get a nicely tapered line. Also, in Properties panel with the brush tool selected, smoothing. You have this slider here. I can set the smoothing all the way to 100, and it'll smooth a lot. You can see it sort of snap. I'm drawing, I'm not lifting up yet, but as soon as I lift up, you see it smooth out. I can drop that all the way down to 0, which will apply no smoothing. So it'll be pretty much as accurate as my hand is, right? See that? So you can see how different that is in terms of the number of points. Look at all those vector points. And this one has very few in comparison. I'm using the white arrow sub-selection tool. So you can see this has very few points. So play around with that, right? I am typically around 65, right around there. Yeah, so anyway, can you make it so it's tapered without having to end this? Well, that's what you would end up using this for. If you used the new paintbrush tool, and then you make sure you open up the brush library, I would go to Line Art Basic, and this Line Art Uniform has tapering on both sides, on both ends, okay? And note, I'm not using any pressure sensitivity at all. Whoops, I want to make sure this is set to that one, yep. And so I can use the same amount of pressure. It's going to adhere to that line. It's going to restrict it to this style. So yeah, that's what you would want for that. The regular brush tool is, you know, the line you create with this tool is dictated by literally the pressure sensitivity of the tablet you're using. You have to have a tablet connected to it for the pressure sensitivity to work, right? Oop. There we go. Wow, just a little over 15 minutes. I did have one question, Keyframer, from Rupiness. Hello. Any tips on shading? I find it hard with Animate for some reason. Oh yeah, I have a lot of tips for shading. So where's our buddy Buttonana? There he is. I showed this last week too. It's fun to show. Oh, I didn't want to paste everything in. Silly me. But I did. Here, let's just delete that. All right, so here's Buttonana. Let's say we wanted to shade him. Couple of ways to do it. Here's my favorite way. So here's his body, right? Here's the banana. First, what I'm going to do is mix my shade color. Okay, I'm going to pull this out next to it so we can see it a little bit better. Let me go and add this as a swatch. Good. So I'm going to mix a darker color. So I'm going to actually grab that slider right there, right? And I might actually change the hue a little bit to make it a little bit warmer. And the saturation. Nah, not sure I like that. Hold on. What I like about this is that you'll see how when I click that, it splits this down here in half. It shows me the original color and the new mixed color in real time next to it. So I get an idea of what it's going to look like against the other color. All right, let's just go with something like that. Maybe I'll make it really dark I'll make sure you guys can see it. I'm going to add that swatch. All right, so here's my color. I'm going to grab the brush tool, this brush tool right here. And I can, increase my brush size and paint in here and do whatever I want, right? But it's going to be kind of messy and not really precise. But if I go here, this is, all right, so let me actually tell you that this is the tools panel. And the tools panel is normally down the left side or the right side of most people's applications. So when I'm choosing these sub-selection tools, they are down here. Or if it might be over on this side. But I just like to have it across the top. It's just me. But I just want to be clear as to where it is. It's a sub-selection, and you can have paint normal, which it is by default, paint the fills, paint behind, paint selection, paint inside. I'm going to pick paint inside. What that allows me to do is once I start painting inside a different color, it's going to restrict what I paint to inside of that color. Right? So I can be really kind of loose about this and just do something like that. Now you notice once I released, it only kept what I painted inside, and now I can hit the K tool, which is also the fill tool, the bucket tool, and just paste it in like that. Or not paste it in, sorry, just fill it in like that. And let's say I still don't like that color, I can just select it, right? Just click on it, and I can just play around with it. I can mix a different color, something like that. So that's how I would do shading. Another way to do shading, I actually like that color. Another way would be grabbing the ink bottle tool, which is down here. I'm going to grab a really contrasty color like, I don't know, like this horrible red. And I'm going to fill inside of here. I want to make sure that it's probably like a size 2 weight stroke. And so now what you'll see is it strokes that shape, right? So if I double click it, it's going to select that stroke for me. And now what I can do is move it. I'm using shift and the arrow keys, or just the arrow keys. And I can move that. And now what I can do, I can just, kind of move it off center, is grab my darker shade and fill it in. And then double click that stroke again and just delete it. So that's another way to do shading. I find those are two of the best ways to do shading. I hope that made sense. I probably went really fast, Yeah, so there's a couple different methods for sure. I find that to be the quickest and easiest and best method. I really do. Using the strokes really works if you have a pretty complex shape. That's all. Where was there it is, background. No, I'm sorry, Saucy 2. And drop that back. Let me put my tools panel back up here. I kind of like that. I was using Animator, a Toon Boom product for, trying it out, and they had their tools across the top, and I just kind of liked it. Just felt good to me to do that. So yeah, guys, thanks for hanging out tonight. I know it's late for a lot of you, so I appreciate you guys hanging out. Yeah, this is definitely a very cool program to ink in, or do a lot of vector. I use this a lot to do vector drawings. I use this a lot to prototype sort of like game screens. I'm trying to think if I have something I could show you like in that regard. But so we'll be designing a game, and a lot of times the developers will want to. It's just easier for me to explain to them how certain menus would fly in and fly out, or certain parts of the game would work and look and animate in by just literally doing a quick and dirty mock-up inside of Animate, and then I can send it to them as a video file, and they just get it. It's a great tool for mocking up stuff in. you can't get used to your Intuos drawing tablet. So I have one as well. Oh, somewhere. Oh, where is it? I don't even know where it is. It's somewhere around here. Here it is. It's right behind me. Right behind me. So I have this one, which I love. It's the medium size. It's an Intuos Pro, and it has the wireless device in it. And I also love this size because it's about a 1-to-1 ratio from tablet size to screen size of my MacBook. So it's great when I'm on the road. It also fits perfectly in my laptop bag. And as far as getting used to it, I don't know. For me, it's pretty easy for me to get used to it. I mean, it's always great to have a Cintiq where you're drawing right on the screen. Nothing beats that as far as I'm concerned. But I don't know. I do like the Intuos too. Sometimes I almost like it even more. So I don't know. If you can't get used to it, it's sometimes when you're dealing with the tablet that's not a Cintiq, right? Where you're looking not where the tablet is, you have your screen somewhere else. Sometimes it's just a question of distance or relative distance or positioning or rotation of the tablet relative to your computer screen itself. You know, if you are drawing on it and sometimes I would have to have it so perfectly set up that if someone came by and knocked it and it was like it rotated an inch, I couldn't draw a straight line anymore. It would throw me off. Another thing to do, and Molten Ink talks about this a lot, and other artists I've heard, is that when you have it set up, a good just sort of, warm up exercise or just to get your coordination down is to just draw circles. Just sit and draw circles. Draw as many as you can, and that will, kind of train your hand to, try to get them as perfect as you can. But draw big ones, draw little ones, whatever you got to do. You know, and I've learned that from them. Like that was not that good a circle, but try to have a consistent rhythm to it. Like that was pretty good. I'm a little bit impressed I did that. And so you start to get familiar and comfortable with the tablet, and you get more and more confident with your strokes and your hand-eye coordination, because it does kind of require a little bit of hand-eye coordination, right? So yeah. The latest Intuos mediums are very cool. They're nice. They're really, really nice. So yeah. Yep, in 12 minutes. Wow, 12 minutes. Man, 3 hours sounds like such. I always, before every stream, think like, what am I going to ramble on about for 3 hours? And then boom, it's over. So again, thanks for everyone for hanging out. Samantha Hard Art, thank you. This is such an awesome stream. Good. I'm glad you guys learned a lot today. I learned something too, and I already forgot what it was. Remember earlier? Somebody said something that I didn't know, and I learned, and now I totally forgot. When you get my age, it's hard to hold on to things. Think you could play the animation of your daughter singing Twinkle Twinkle before I go. Yeah. Did I not play it earlier? Let me find it. Yeah, we have 9 minutes. Let me find it. Hey, I got a question from Scott NP. Hello, I got a question. Is Huion drawing tablet good to start with? I've never heard of it. Huion? I'm a starter flash, but not animation. I've done Nimchion on Flip-a-Clip, but I have never heard of any of those things. I apologize. I don't know how to answer that. Only tablet I've ever really used has been Wacom tablets for ages and ages and ages. There are other good ones out there, I think. I just have never used them, so I can't give you a first-hand bit of advice on them. Should you use your wrist or your whole arm? I would say both. I mean, it kind of depends. I mean, sometimes I'm using just my wrist, like here, like I'm doing right now. And then, yeah, feel free to try to use your whole arm and see how good you can be. That was horrible. Right? So for me, drawing circles is not looking at where you're actually drawing, but you're looking everywhere else. Because I'm always trying to draw, when you draw a square, you want to make sure when you draw this line, it's going to be parallel with this one. So I'm almost looking at this line more as I'm drawing that line. Right? So I'm looking everywhere else because I'm looking at the relative positioning and spatial distance between everything. So when you draw in a circle, you're kind of looking at where you're going to end up. Like that was way too slow. If I draw a really slow circle, I am just going to get lost as to where I am. But if I draw a really fast circle, it just seems better. I feel like it's a better drawing. I don't know. It's a rhythmic thing. Maybe it's because I'm a drummer. I don't know. Now my hand should touch the tablet when I'm drawing, or shouldn't. It depends on the yes, it should touch the tablet. Either way, if you have an Intuos, I'm leaning on it. I'm leaning on this tablet as well. Hence the glove here that I'm using. I'm always leaning on it. You don't want to be uncomfortable or unstable. You do want to be, you know. I'm trying to intersect right in the middle there. I missed it. There we go. Try it again. Nope, I missed it. I'm staring right at the middle when I draw that line. Oh, I totally missed it that time. So yeah, I don't know. It's practice. It's like an athlete practices his sport, right? You know, it doesn't hurt to warm up this way for the first 5 minutes before you start your day. So there you go. So yeah. Oh yeah, you want to see it again? Yeah, I'll play it. I'll play it as my closer for tonight. Wacom is like the Apple of tablets. Yeah, paying more for the same features, but you're getting a lot more quality. It just feels better for the extra cash. Yeah, Centaur of Doom. I kind of agree. I mean, they're tooling, they're machining the way everything feels. You know, it's just the tactileness. I don't know if I made up a word or not, but they're tactile. They feel right. The weight is good. I don't know. They put a lot of research and development in on these. The pens feel good to me. I don't know. They are worth it. They are. They totally are. I'm not a power. I kind of used to be a power user of all these little keys here on the side. You can just assign different key commands to them. But I'm so used to using the keyboard. So here, let me find the Twinkle Twinkle video. And I'll play that for you guys again, per your request. Let me make sure I'm turning off some music, because that would not sound good. Yeah. Alright, so here, and I want to make it as full screen as I can, just so you guys can see it better. There you go. Alright, so yeah, this was the very first animation of my daughter. She was, again, for those who might be just joining in, she was 2 years old, 2 and 2 months to be precise. Had just learned how to sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and I happened to just hit record on a USB microphone that had really kind of low quality to it, but I captured it, and then I ended up months later animating it, and it turned into something I do every year, which is record her and along with the other kids and animate them. I have my other sons animated. Oh, you did see that. There was another one I showed, but here we go. Okay, action.
Twinkle, twinkle.
Okay, action.
Twinkle, twinkle.
Okay, action.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Pop, pop, popper, so high, like a diamond in the sky.
Action. So that scene where she actually is tugging on that one curl between her eyes, she used to do that. And she used to actually stretch it down till it was straight, and then she would release it, and at the same time she would say boing. She used to do that. She's the funniest kid. So yeah. That's my daughter. So anyway, yeah, man, we just have like 2 minutes left, so thank you all for being here. Awesome Idios Switch, thank you. I'm psyched you liked it. And Centaur of Doom, yes. Yeah, if you need to save some money, there are definitely some alternative tablets out there, for sure. Wacom definitely seems to be the king of tablets, though. They're super nice people, and I know it's a great company. They've been around a long time. So yeah. And that was actually a legit burp too. She totally just burped in the middle of singing. It was hilarious. Yeah, and then when she was kind of going a cappella and changing keys, she actually understood that she was in the wrong key and she was getting too high for her own voice pitch. I don't know. She's a pretty smart kid. Yeah, I don't know how. She takes after her mom, trust me, in that sense. Thank you, Voodoo Val. Thank you, mods in general. And yeah, definitely shout out to the mods. Don't forget to tip your mods. And I'll be back next week. We'll continue where we left off. Hopefully I'll have some time between now and then. I always say it, and I never do, but to work on a little more of this project, this fun animation project, and have more to show next week. And anyway, yeah, so I'm out. Thank you guys. And yeah, you're very welcome, Samantha Hard Art. So yeah, cool. Guys, thanks again. Seriously, I appreciate it. I love that you guys hung out, and this was fun for me too. So until next time, Achilles heel. Later, man. I'll see you all online. So cool. Awesome. Have an awesome night/day, depending on where you are. Later, dudes.